As the morning mist was still clinging to the sand hills of southern North Carolina, a special breed had already gone to work. Skinned knuckles, strained muscles, they don't even feel them. They were of one mind as they prepared for the battle to come. Soon they would strap a man, a friend, into a 600 horsepower roll cage molded inside a thin steel skin that they had made ready. Was everything perfect? That's what drove them. They are the pit crews, the fabricators, the engine wizards of NASCAR's Winston Cup Series. The people who make your Sundays roar. They are already starting to roar here in Rockingham at the North Carolina Motor Speedway as TNN Motorsports presents live flag-to-flag coverage of the Goodwrench 500. By my calculations, over 500 crew members have been responsible for getting these cars ready, and ready they are. That's 500 different sets of emotions and nerves. The drivers, they don't have time to worry or be nervous. These people do it all for them. Now continuing to try this racetrack after early morning rain. Let's quickly go upstairs to our race callers, Mike Joy and Phil Parsons.
Thank you, Steve, and so much for elaborate pre-race. We're about set to go racing here at the Rock. Let's set the grid for you. Kyle Petty is on the pole. He has a chance to repeat. Last year he took the bonus of $295,000. Ken Schrader right alongside. Row 2, Davey Allison carrying one of our in-car cameras, and with him will be Harry Gant. In the third row, Ricky Rudd, second last week at Richmond with Mike Waltrip. Jeff Bodine teamed with Alan Kulwicki, the last fall's winner here. Rick Wilson, best starting slot since joining Harry Hyde with Rusty Wallace. Rick Mast and Bill Elliott. Dale Earnhardt, the point leader with Derek Coe. Ernie Irvin and Brett Bodine. Darrell Waltrip, he'll have an in-car camera with Dale Jarrett. Rookie Bobby Hamilton and Morgan Shepherd. Sterling Marlin, along with Dick Trickle, then Mark Barton and Terry Labonte. Richard Petty's back there, the track's all-time winner with Bobby Hillin. Chad Little and Mickey Gibbs. Jimmy Spencer, along with Dave Marcus, making his 47th start here. And some new faces, Hut Strickland and Andy Hillenberg. Jeff Purvis, the dirt tracker, and Stanley Smith from Alabama. Joe Ruttman and Wisconsin's Rich Bickle. Mike Skinner from Greensboro with Jimmy Means. Bill Meacham from Charlotte, and rookie Ted Musgrave. Those are the cars, 40 strong, that are lined up set for a start here just 1/2 lap from now. Brock Yates.
Steve, I'm with Donnie Richardson, who's handling the pit for Kyle Petty right now. He's in a conference with one of the NASCAR officials. They seem to be arguing a little bit about something. Obviously, Donnie, what's going on here?
Oh, nothing. NASCAR, come up with their new safety rules for this year, and necessary so. But now they really count the amount of people you get over the wall, and it costs you 15 seconds if you get one extra foot over there. So we're just going over them before the beginning of the race.
We got a green, Mike.
Into turn number 1, Kyle Petty and Ken Schrader trade a little bit of sheet metal. And it is Petty who squirts out of turn 2 with the lead.
I'll tell you, Mike, it looked like Kenny Schrader was a little bit hesitant there. He wasn't dead sure, I don't think, that the track was dry in that second group, so he let Kyle go.
Looking from Davey Allison's car at the leader, Kyle Petty, as they come through turn 4 and into the dog leg on the curving front straightaway of this 1.017-mile oval track. Kyle Petty in front, Davey Allison, that black orange numeral car, in second. In third, Kenny Schrader. Fourth, the bandit Harry Gant, and fifth is Ricky Rudd.
I'll tell you, Mike, Kyle Petty started where he left off last year. He dominated the race, this race last year. He was a dominant car in the fall race until he had trouble and lost his cylinder.
Mike Waltrip is sixth, Alan Kulwicki seventh, Jeff Bodine eighth, and you're riding with Rusty Wallace up against the back bumper of Jeff Bodine as Rusty wrestles the wheel of that Pontiac through turns 1 and 2. Back straightaway. And Wallace looked inside and now lines up. Dale Earnhardt has come to 10th and 13th. Darrell Waltrip, you're in his car, trailing Bill Elliott out of turn number 4 and back to the start-finish line to complete lap 3. Earnhardt and Wallace going at it. Front 4 breaking away just a bit. Kyle Petty alone out front. There's the battle back behind them. Earnhardt on the inside, and with him comes Ernie Irvin. Irvin has had a trailer hitch hooked on Earnhardt's car for much of this young season. Here's Davey Allison with Ken Schrader. Davey has moved up into second behind Kyle Petty.
I'll tell you, you talk about the trailer hitch. I'll tell you what, everyone used to say, let me just stay near Darrell Waltrip during this race, because I know at the end of the race he'll be near the front. But now it's Dale Earnhardt.
Kulwicki, Bodine, Earnhardt, and Irvin there. Now back up to Schrader, number 25 in third. Allison ahead, Harry Gant behind. 5 laps of 492. Kyle Petty continues to lead as he's done from the top of the green. Gant trying that low line to stay with Schrader. They're a car length apart midway down the backstretch. And they are leaving fifth place Ricky Rudd.
Kyle Petty has about the same interval between he and Davey Allison.
9/10 of a second from Kyle Petty to Davey Allison's second place car. In third, Schrader, number 25. In fourth, Harry Gant. Fifth is Rudd. Sixth, Mike Waltrip. Seventh, Kulwicki. And this is out the back of Davey Allison's car. Trouble, turn 4. One car goes spinning down the banking. That is Andy Hillenberg. And here comes the field right on top of him. Plenty of room to get by on the outside as they race to the caution flag. 7 laps complete. First yellow of the day for Hillenberg's spin up in turn 4.
Hey, I don't think he made any contact, Mike. It looks like just a fairly innocent spin, and he should be able to get back underway.
So there's Hillenberg down on the apron, which you see is still rather damp. Here's Darrell Waltrip riding behind Morgan Shepherd's Ford and just back of Sterling Marlin under this first caution. That was Hillenberg's first Winston Cup career start. He still hasn't fired that car down on the apron of turn 4. Will stay yellow here for a few laps. Riding along under caution with Darrell Waltrip, who started back in 17th position, a match of his car number. Now he is currently running in 19th. He's given up 2 spots, 1 to Sterling Marlin and 1 to Morgan Shepherd. Brock Yates?
Mike, I'm with Donnie Robinson, who's handling their crew chief duties down here. Gary Nelson is the spotter this afternoon for Kyle Petty. And is Kyle talking to you at all?
Oh, not really. He's just concentrating on his line and just trying to get a pace settled down early. And he just says it feels real good right now.
Oh, it sure looks good. He looks like a repeat performance. We've seen this before here.
Oh, yeah. We hope to do it again. We know it's not going to be as easy. It wasn't easy last year in the fall when we got out front as it was in the spring. And we know everybody else has been working hard for this racetrack and gunning for us. And we expect them to be a little tighter this time around.
Donnie, I talked earlier to Kyle. He's concerned, I think everybody is, about this sort of change in cadence of this race because of the rain and a quick start and a little run in on the caution laps. What are you going to do? You got a problem, or are you going to set out with the race plan you had before?
No, Gary and I sat in the truck and we talked strategy for an hour this morning, and we're going to try to just stick to it as we can as long as we're out front.
Okay. Steve?
I'm with Andy Hillenberg, the 29 car from Indianapolis. And Andy, first of all, sorry to see you out so soon, but did the racetrack conditions have anything to do with your losing control?
No, the motor locked up on me going into 3, and just the rear wheel stopped turning and sent me spinning. So this is my debut in Winston Cup racing. It wasn't what I had in mind, but we got our feet wet anyway, and hopefully we laid a good foundation on building our team.
Tough way to get on television.
Yeah, maybe.
Mike Joy?
Hillenberg's quite a sprint car driver. He led 97 of the 100-lap Hoosier 100 last year. Went out with 3 laps to go due to a flat tire. 9 laps complete. We're set to go back to green, and Kyle Petty is at the head of the parade. Davey Allison, Ken Schrader, Harry Gant, Ricky Rudd. Mike Waltrip is 6th. Alan Kulwicki 7th. Jeff Bodine 8th. Dale Earnhardt and Ernie Irvin. Behind them comes Rusty Wallace and Rick Wilson. Looking for green out of turn 4. Single file. Mike Waltrip is dead on the start, and they stack up behind him, but he finds a gear and nobody gains advantage. Close call there. We're in Davey Allison. Robert Yates for Thunderbird as he follows Kyle Petty down the back straightaway.
I'll tell you, Mike, that's as close as anybody's been to Kyle since the green flag dropped.
Kenny Schrader in 3rd, right with him. Gant 4th, Rudd 5th. The running order among the front 10 unchanged. Back about 11 spots as they're bundling up. Single file now through the front 7 cars. Ernie Irvin on the inside, top of your screen, gains a spot from Jeff Bodine. Here's a snarling pack. Morgan separate underneath Mark Martin. Sterling Marlin's the blue car. Dale Jarrett, who won yesterday's Goodwrench 200, is at the head of that group. That's just back of the top 10. Brett Bodine, the green Buick on the outside. What a tough start he's had to this season. 3 cars wrecked in 3 weeks of racing.
Mark Martin went very high down there. It allowed Morton Shepherd to pass him and Dick Trickle to get up on the inside.
Back up front, Kyle Petty brings them around. 12 laps complete. Davey Allison, Kenny Schrader, Harry Gant, and Ricky Rudd. And Kyle once again opens up a wide margin. The Goodwrench 500 at Rockingham rolls on. 13 laps complete with Kyle Petty in the lead. Davey Allison second. Back with more right after this. 16 laps complete. We are back and under caution for the second time today for a grinding crash out of turn number 4 involving Jimmy Spencer and Terry Labonte. Labonte, the second such crash in 2 days, as he wrapped the car up on Friday with a taste of the wall. They brought this car back, number 94, from the Billy Hagan shop to run here on Sunday, and let's have a look at it.
Coming off turn 4 is when the accident happened. Looks like Jimmy Spencer kind of eased into Terry Labonte on the outside, put both of them in the wall. Terry Labonte had a very hard lick, but he's still in the car right now, but I see him moving around. Yeah, Joe Ruttman had to do some evasive measures to get by, but it looked like Jimmy Spencer didn't. There's another angle. I don't think Jimmy Spencer knew that Terry Labonte was on the outside of him, started coming up the hill. It kind of pinched Terry into the wall. It sent them both into the wall head first.
Ruttman was inside of Spencer at the time, and Spencer came up, Labonte right there. And both cars grinded up against the wall up here into the start-finish line area of the tri-oval. And it is Labonte's car going on the hook. You see the rescue crews in talking with him as he took quite a ride against the concrete retaining wall here. And we're under caution for the second time today. Andy Hillenberg brought out the first one when his engine locked up at turn number 4. Let's go to Brock Yates.
Mike, I'm with Richard Childress, who's getting some information right now from the Ernie Irvin crew. They've Tony Glover here talking a little bit about what's going on out there. We know that Dale ticked the wall. We want to talk to Richard about that. Richard, we understand that Dale clipped the wall a little bit.
Yeah, he pushed just a little up off the 2 over there, and he hit it to the right rear housing. But you know, we're going to take off, and if it don't shake or nothing, he thinks it'll be okay. You know, we just hope it didn't mess up nothing in the rear housing.
So you got to find out until he gets back up to speed whether or not you got problems.
Yeah, we can't change the rear tire now, so we'll just have to wait till it gets to running. If it does, then we'll come right in and put him on to right.
Let's hope it works. And now let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Okay, we're standing by in Jimmy Spencer's pits. He's talking with some radio people right now. If we can pan the camera down here, you can see some of the pieces that are left of the Chevrolet that Jimmy was driving. We're going to get a word with him right now and find out what happened. First of all, Jimmy, are you okay?
Yeah, Glenn, I'm all right. You know, just a shame that it had to happen so early in the race. Banquet Foods car ran good last 2 races. Was going to run good today, too, but just got hit from behind. Nothing they could do about it, just racing.
Well, early on in the race, when the cars are all jammed up together, that's awfully easy to do. Do you know who hit you?
No, I couldn't really say, Glenn. I was worried what was happening in front of me, you know, and track was a little wet yet, but I think it was just a misjudgment on our part, you know, just racing.
Well, sometimes those things happen. Better luck next time.
Thank you.
The 2 cars immediately behind Spencer were Labonte on the outside and Joe Ruttman on the inside. Labonte and Spencer were the cars ending up in the wall. Labonte is a 2-time winner here. His second career win came here in the fall of 1983, and he won this race in 1986. But Labonte is the 3rd car out of the race this afternoon. We're under the second caution of the day, 19 laps completed. Now, what Richard Childress was speaking of is the new NASCAR rules that do not permit tire changes under the caution flag unless one of those tires is flat. If so, you can change that flat tire, but then so you don't gain advantage on the rest of the field, you must come back in under the green flag running conditions and change those tires once again. So Childress is leaving that car out on the racetrack. Here's the man they're all trying to chase today, Kyle Petty. Kyle, who won $295,000 here 1 year ago, is trying to again capture the pole winner, race winner bonus this afternoon.
Ned Jarrett and Benny Parsons both, I talked to them after the race, and they told me, they said, let me tell you something. They said, we've been racing a long time, and you'll race for years and years, but you'll never have but 2 or 3 races like that in your lifetime, and you'll remember each and every one of them.
1 year ago today, thanks to the Unical 76 Challenge bonus, Kyle Petty left Rockingham with more prize money than any stock car driver had ever won in a single afternoon, right at $300,000. Sabco team owner Felix Sabates, crew chief Gary Nelson, and Kyle invited us this week to the North Carolina facility. Gleaming floors, perfect race cars, and another story about that Sunday at the Rock, one with a British accent.
Well, the Rolls Royce came about last year when we started the season. Felix said, if you go to Daytona and you win the Daytona 500, I'll give you a Rolls Royce. And my goal in life was always own a Rolls Royce by the time I was 30. Obviously, we went to Daytona and we didn't win the race, but we went to Rockingham right after that and sat on the pole. And by that time, I had already bought the Rolls Royce. I went to the dealership, made my down payment on it, and started making my payments on it. And when I got down there, Felix said, well, you sat on the pole. If you go ahead and win the race and win the Unical money, he said, then I'll just finish paying off the Rolls for you. So we were real fortunate, and was able to ride home that night to celebrate in a Rolls Royce. And I guess I reached one of my goals in life. I had a Rolls by the time I was 30.
Kyle loves that Rolls, but it's just not the kind of ride his hardworking crew is comfortable in. So this year, win or lose at the Rock, the crew will hit the water in luxury, maybe on Kyle's nickel.
We have an associate sponsorship with Donzie Boats. Donzie has said if we win one of the first 2 or 3 races of the year, they'll give a 21 or 22-foot ski boat to the crew that they can take over here on Lake Norman and ski with. So the way Felix has pretty much put it to me is you either go out and win a race and the crew gets a boat, or you go out and don't win a race and you buy the crew a boat.
That's a heck of a deal for Kyle Petty. I'll tell you, if Sterling Marlin wins this race, what does he get? A cup of coffee from his sponsor? I don't know. Today, TNN presents the Right Guard Halfway Challenge. The driver who leads in the halfway lap will get $10,000 from Right Guard, and you'll have a chance to win a Pontiac Grand Prix SE. To enter, just call the 1-900 number you see on the screen between now and the halfway lap, and then stay tuned. We'll announce the driver who wins the Right Guard Halfway Challenge, and if Right Guard calls you and you know who he is, you'll win the keys to a new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. Contest rules and the number on the screen now, so call in and register. We're getting set to go back to green. 21 laps are complete. Kyle Petty leads Davey Allison, Ken Schrader, Harry Gant, and Ricky Rudd. That order unchanged. In 6th, Mike Waltrip, 7th, Alan Kulwicki, and Ernie Irvin is up to 8th. Past Dale Earnhardt for 8th spot just before the caution flag came out. We've had 2 runs of yellow. We're back under green for the 3rd time today. And this time, Davey Allison, you see, is not letting Kyle Petty get away. Quick look at the top 5 there as they string out around this 1-mile speedway. 2nd, 5, led by Mike Waltrip. Down through Jeff Bodine in the 10th one. On turn 4, the complete lap 23. Kyle did not get away this time.
He really didn't, but I tell you, it took him a lap or 2 after the last restart. But now the time will tell. You see him, it looks like he's a little bit better. He can keep the car a little bit lower down in turn 1 and 2 than Davey Allison can.
Kyle Petty at the front. Front 7 cars. And there's Swerve and Irvin moving into the picture way off on the right. He has passed Alan Kulwicki and moved up another notch to 7th spot.
Okay.
There is Irvin. He's made the pass on Kulwicki. Now sets his sights on the similarly painted car of Mike Waltrip, who was running 6th spot since they dropped the flag. There's Kulwicki at number 7. That forlorn-looking unsponsored car. Allen's still running very well and trying to put himself a deal together. But Irvin now pulls right up on the back bumper of that Bahari Racing Pontiac of Waltrip. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th now. Kent Schrader right in the middle there, and his white number 25, Chevrolet. Harry Gant closing in. And Davey Allison sees Kyle Petty beginning to disappear off into the clouds.
Just like last year, Mike, they can stay with him for a lap or 2 on the restart, and then Kyle just starts walking away. Last year, Kyle could run at the bottom of the racetrack when nobody else could, and away he's gone. Let's go down to Glenn Jarrett.
This is Joey Knuckles, crew chief for Davey Allison. Joey, Davey looks awfully strong thus far in the race. There's only one car he can't handle. Does he think he can catch up with Kyle?
Well, his comment so far is, you know, since the rain yesterday, the car's pushing just a little bit. Jake Elder's really done a good job with his car, and, you know, we just about won a third pole. We're real happy here in the Davey Allison pit right now, and he said he really couldn't do nothing with Kyle right now. We need to get up there and lead a lap for them Winston Cup points, but we got a lot of racing to go. We're going to be right there, we think.
Okay, that's the word from Joey Knuckles.
Battle here for third place. Harry Gadd has caught Kenny Schrader. Likewise, Ernie Irvin's caught Mike Waltrip, and Rusty Wallace has moved past Jeff Bodine. This race is for third, and Harry tries the high side. No surprise.
No, it's not. He did that the lap before. He wasn't quite able to pull it off, but he's really beaten Kenny getting in the turn.
Ricky Rudd is closed right up on Harry Gadd. Third, fourth, and Rudd will peek into view there in fifth.
Harry looks pretty strong right now, Mike.
There's Ernie Irvin in the number 4 car, the Oldsmobile, out of the Morgan LaFleur shops, and he is right there with Mike Waltrip. Now that battle is just behind the one we saw a moment ago. It's for 6th place. Back behind them, Kulwicki is 8th, Earnhardt 9th, and Rusty Wallace has moved into the top 10.
Earnhardt must not have had too much damage from scrubbing the wall, Mike, because he's been able to stay right with Alan Kulwicki.
Ernie Irvin trailing 6th place Mike Waltrip, and they're catching Ricky Rudd. So while Kyle Petty has checked out on the field, second on back is still fairly close. There's Davey Allison on the left of your screen, along with Harry Gant. Gant now into third. And in fourth, Kenny Schrader. Last lap on Kyle Petty, 143.6 miles per hour. He has a 2-second lead. At the North Carolina Motor Speedway, 31 laps are complete as you watch out the back window of Davey Allison's floor. And his pursuers will be back to watch them at Rockingham in a moment. Rusty Wallace has moved into 9th place. He's passed Dale Earnhardt as we look from Davey Allison's car at Harry Gant. Second and third place. Dick Trickle has made 2 unscheduled pit stops and now goes to the garage in the Cale Yarborough car. Dale Earnhardt getting kicked back a spot to 9th. Jeff Bodine has tried him on the inside for that position. Bodine in the Junior Johnson T-Bird, the red car.
I say Dale has lost about 10 car lengths to Alan Kulwicki, not to mention the fact that Rusty Wallace has got by him. Jeff Bodine had a peek while we were waiting for a commercial break on the inside to try to get by Dale Earnhardt. So Dale is not running right up to par yet.
Earnhardt is 10th behind this man, Rusty Wallace. Riding along in the Penske Pontiac. In 9th place, the white car ahead is Alan Kulwicki. And in front of Alan, Ernie Irvin. Back to turn 1. 9th place, Rusty Wallace. Here's Steve.
Dick Trickle, the 66 car, is behind the wall, but they're not giving up. In fact, I just got knocked in the knee by the jack. Dick, you came in for 2 unscheduled stops. What's going on?
Yeah, we broke an axle, and we thought maybe it was just a tire cut down, but it ended up being a broken axle, so they'll change the axle. We'll go out there and try to finish the race because we can. The car was, you know, Bill's 66 car was running good. We're looking for a good day.
If you don't start counting those Winston points now, it can be too late later on in the season. You got to go out and get whatever you can.
I can't hear you very good because my radio was running here.
Okay, we'll let you go. The crew are hard at work on the 66 car, and broken axles have been a problem for a lot of cars, Bill Parson.
Well, it sure has, Steve. This car is so rough that the racetrack is so rough that you get the cars going through these dips, and when the pressure gets down on the car, that'll snap an axle. You see Sterling Marlin in the blue car, the 22 car, trying to get by Dale Jarrett, yesterday's winner, in the 21 car.
And ahead of them, Rick Wilson, who started this race tonight. His best qualifying effort for Harry Hyde in the Stavola Brothers Buick this season. Sterling Marlin, what a storybook season he's had so far. He's had the can't miss tag on him for several years. Everybody had thought and hoped he'd win his first Winston Cup race, but now, little Junior Johnson's magic from the shop up at Ingle Hollow. Marlin has a string of good finishes and a top 5 position in the point parade. Further up front, Rusty Wallace in 9th has closed right up on the back bumper of Alan Kulwicki's Ford. There it is, filling the windshield of his Pontiac. And Ernie Irvin just ahead. A
tell you, Mike, watching Rusty Wallace sawing that steering wheel, it reminds me of Cale Yarborough. Cale used to look like he would swat flies and bees in the car when he was driving. Rusty looks a lot like that.
And Wallace uses an overhand style. You see his hand well up on the steering wheel instead of gripping it low and coming up.
Yeah, it looks like it's just the classic 10 and 2 you learn in driver's education, and that's how much you have to turn these cars. He takes his right hand, goes all the way over to about 10 o'clock. That's how much you have to turn these cars in these tight turns.
Going to make it tough to sign autographs at the end of this one. Rusty Wallace tracking Alan Kulwicki. Alan's car looking just a touch loose right there. Ken Schrader and Harry Gant. Schrader has recaptured third spot, putting the Bandit back to fourth. Ricky Rudd, top of the picture, is fifth. And Davey Allison's opened up a bit of gap on them. Kyle Petty, meanwhile, we haven't seen much of him lately. It's because he's trying to make this a boring show. Kyle has checked out. 3.9 seconds is presently his lead as we watch the race for third.
Felix Sabatis needs to tell Kyle to slow down so he can get on TV more.
Schrader is third. Gant, the green car, is fourth, and Ricky Rudd right behind them is in fifth place. Mike Waltrip continues in sixth, Ernie Irvin seventh, Alan Kulwicki eighth. Ninth, Rusty Wallace 10th, Dale Earnhardt. Bill Elliott is 11th, Jeff Bodine is 12th, and Sterling Marlin is 13th. We've completed 44 laps here at Rockingham in the Goodwrench 500. We'll have more for you right after these messages. Up on the 50-lap mark. 492 will make up the 500 miles. Kyle Petty, runaway leader. Davey Allison's Ford, Ken Schrader's Chevy, Harry Gant, Ricky Rudd, the top five. Further back, Mike Waltrip and Ernie Irvin hold position. Rusty Wallace has moved around Alan Kulwicki's Ford, and Bill Elliott is now up into the 10th spot. Kyle Petty leading now by 5.2 seconds as we ride along with Rusty. There is Bill Elliott, nuzzled up against Alan Kulwicki's car. Dale Earnhardt right in there, but Earnhardt has not been moving to the front today in the early going. Elliott has the handle on the low side and slips past Kulwicki.
I tell you, Mike, Bill Elliott looks pretty good right now. He started back in 12th position. Now he's passed Alan Kulwicki for about 8th or 9th, and looks pretty good.
And here comes Earnhardt underneath Kulwicki after Elliott opened the door. Earnhardt goes right through. Here's Brock Yates.
Mike, I'm in the Dale Earnhardt pit, and remember now he brushed the wall, and there was a lot of concern. I talked to Richard Childress a couple of minutes ago. Richard said he hadn't said anything on the radio. We know Dale's a strong silent type, but apparently he's unconcerned, and he's going to wait until the regular pit stop comes up because he hadn't said a thing on the radio. Obviously, Richard's concerned because Dale's sort of advancing to the back, but at this point, nothing, no news from here, and he doesn't appear ready to stop. Back to you.
Rusty Wallace catching Ernie Irvin there, and then Harry Gant just ahead. Missing Mike Waltrip out of that pack. Gant dropping back a bit.
He really is. Harry looked real strong there. I thought he was going to chase down Davey Allison and see what he could do with Kyle Petty, but Ricky Rudd and Michael Waltrip both have got by him now.
Rusty Wallace saws the wheel, looking for a way past Ernie Irvin. Mike Waltrip has gone past Gant into the 5th position. Rusty Wallace underneath Irvin. Here he goes. Turn 2 is the tightest turn on this racetrack, and it looked like it was tough to run till you get a bite off the bottom there.
I tell you, Mike, if the fans were really listening, you could hear him getting in and out of the throttle to make sure that he didn't squeeze up into Ernie Irvin, because the exit of the corner is so tight.
Kyle Petty, meanwhile, doing a disappearing act on this race. 53 laps in the books.
He's sort of running one race, and everybody else is running a different race, I think, Mike.
Here's Brock.
Well, Donnie, I couldn't imagine you could be a whole lot happier the way it's working right now.
Yeah, Kyle's real happy, and it seems like things are going as planned right now, but I'm sure these guys get a chance to do a little adjustments on their car. It'll probably get a little tighter.
Is he saying anything on radio at all?
No, he's just concentrating on keeping smooth.
Big smile, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Can't talk when you're smiling. Okay, back to you, Mike.
Kyle Petty's lead is 6.3 seconds. That is the length of the back straightaway.
I tell you, Mike, you know, people normally would would think they would see Gary Nelson in the pits running the pits for Kyle Petty, but Gary is elected to go up on top to get a better view of the racetrack and leaves the decisions in the pits to Donnie Richardson. Darrell Waltrip is here riding along right behind Mark Martin, and in that group was Richard Petty and his longtime crew chief. Dale Inman is also on the roof this season. Richard is right behind Waltrip, black and orange car. Battle here for 20th spot in the running order. Rick Wilson in the Harry Hyde car, about to get caught out by Mark Martin. And just behind Martin, you're inside Darrell Waltrip's car. And the king is right there. He's the man who's won more races than anybody at this racetrack. Richard Petty, that's no surprise, has 11 victories. You know, normally when you talk to Richard Petty and say something like that to him, as modesty is as he is, Mike, he said, yeah, well, I've lost more races than anybody, but not true here at Rockingham.
Dave Marcus, 42 starts without a victory. That's more than Richard.
Richard's only lost 39. He started 50 times and won 11, so he's only lost 39 times.
Ian Waltrip is trying to get to the front today, and you may see a bit of that Petty blue out the rearview mirror of Waltrip's car when you ride along with him. That's Waltrip underneath the 8 of Rick Wilson. And Richard Petty going through. Here's Glenn Jarrett.
This is Jeff Hammond, crew chief on Darrell Waltrip's car. Jeff, Darrell seems to be sliding backwards a little bit. Is there a problem?
Well, right now, Glenn, we had loosened the car just a little bit, anticipating the track to be a little bit tighter this morning. It turned out to be that way, so we're a little bit loose right now. If we get us another caution flag, we know what we can do to fix it. We feel like we'll be able to get the car back on track if we don't get lapped here too quick. We need a caution flag right now to get back in.
What has all this rain done to your pre-race strategy? Pretty much thrown everything out the window?
Yeah, it really has, because everybody was kind of looking at going about 80, 90 laps, you know, getting tires and tank fuel, but we ran so many caution laps. And the way the traffic's been, it's really been tough all the way through. The racetrack, I'm sure, has been really rough on tires. I think as everybody can see at home, the race pace has really slowed tremendously. But, you know, Kyle, he's really on a tear. We're trying to have a lot of things go right today. Come on, catch it.
Okay, that's the word from Darrell Waltrip's pit. Mike Joyce.
You're riding with Darrell Waltrip right now, still behind Mark Martin. Moving up, Rusty Wallace. He has picked up a spot. Ernie Irvin trying to move up as Alan Kulwicki is backing up, and so is the 33 of Harry Gant. The race pace has slowed down. They were running 143 miles an hour. Now they're down to 132.3 miles per hour. 61 laps on the board.
We just caught a glimpse of Richard Petty getting by Darrell Waltrip and Mark Martin. So Richard's on the move.
Lapping by the Bill Meacham car there. The Gillette Right Guard Halfway Challenge is underway. You can call the 900 number on your screen. Each call costs 95 cents if you want to register to be called after the halfway point if you know what driver won the Right Guard Halfway Challenge and $10,000 from Gillette. You could win that Pontiac Grand Prix SE that they will give away today. 2:46 is the halfway lap. Davey Allison at work, sitting in his office on a leisurely Sunday afternoon drive. 63 laps in the book here at Rockingham. You're riding with Davey. He's in second place in the Goodwrench 500. More after this. TNN Motorsports live present. TNN Motorsports live presentation of the Goodwrench 500 is brought to you by Haviland Motor Oil. Get the most out of your car. .67 laps complete. Harry Gant continued to move back, and so too now Ernie Irvin. Looking at Richard Petty, and Rick Mass comes on to pit road. Here's Glenn Jarrett.
Well, we're standing in Darrell Waltrip's pit right now, and there is definitely a problem on Darrell's car. They're getting ready to bring him in to make a tire change and to make some chassis adjustments. The car has been very, very loose from the outset. They were very concerned about tire wear. They loosened the car up because they thought the track would be a little tight. However, it backfired on them. So they're just trying to hang on to what they can right now. Most of the cars that we see in the middle and the back of the pack are slip sliding all over the racetrack. So they're all going to need tire adjustments, chassis adjustments, and so forth.
Here's Steve Evans.
We're at Mark Martin. That's Robert Benjamin. I know you guys had hoped to maybe be a little stronger at this point in the race.
I can't hear you.
I knew you guys
to buy our time, try to get a chance to make some adjustments.
And you can make some of those adjustments on that first pit stop, which is not far away.
About 40 laps.
Thanks a lot.
Ricky Rudd right in the middle of a sandwich. He's caught up to Kenny Schrader, but he has the 2 car of Rusty Wallace right with him. Harry Gantz on pit road, second of the contenders to make a scheduled stop. It comes at lap 70. Leo Jackson crew going for 4 tires. Derek Cope is also in. At the 70 lap mark, is this a little early, Phil, or about when you expected?
Well, you know, they ran several laps under the caution trying to dry the track, Mike. So this, you know, fuel-wise, this is probably about right. I tell you, Rusty Wallace is the man on the move right now. You see him on the outside of Ricky Rudd.
Nobody's passed Ricky Rudd all day. He's running 5th and now 4th position up until this moment. Rusty Wallace goes on by to capture 4th. Kicks Rudd back to 5th. And out the back of Rusty Wallace's car, you get an idea of that 25-degree banking of turn 4 here at Rockingham. Off the throttle into 1. And picks it right back up. Even before the midpoint of the 1 and 2 corner, he's hard back on the throttle.
And you can see when he did that, he kind of spurted out a little bit of a distance between he and Ricky Rudd.
Off the gas for turn 3. And he's only halfway through turn 3, and he's on the throttle again.
I think that's where he's beating Ricky Rudd right now. He's getting on the throttle before Ricky Rudd can.
That gap widening between Wallace in 4th. You're looking out the back of his car at Ricky Rudd in 5th. And behind them, Mike Waltrip. Further up ahead, in 2nd place, left of your screen, Davey Allison. Ken Schrader is right with him. We're in the window for green flag pit stops, the first of the day. And you see Davey Allison has the clear track ahead. Kyle Petty is nowhere in sight. 11.5 seconds is Kyle Petty's lead. Back with Rusty Wallace as Wallace closes up on Kenny Schrader. Rusty, arguably, with Kyle Petty, the quickest car in the racetrack.
I think he definitely is. Kyle Petty obviously is the quickest car in the racetrack, other than the cars that have fresh tires.
Leading rookie candidate Bobby Hamilton in for 4 tires, the George Bradshaw car. And here's Rusty closing right up on 2nd and 3rd place. You're riding along with the '89 Winston Cup champion in a new ride for 1991. Here's Glenn.
All right, we're standing by right now in Davey Allison's pit. He's not quite ready to come in yet. We'll get back as soon as he makes that pit stop. They're stretching it just as far as they can to get the absolute maximum fuel consumption that they can. He's not losing any ground on the racetrack, so they're going to stay out just a couple more laps.
Steve Evans.
Well, I'll see a crew that is ready for a stop, and that's the men behind Sterling Marlin, the number 22 Thunderbird, under the direction of crew chief Mike Beam. They have got tires out, air wrenches, everybody standing on the wall, making sure they don't get too many men over the wall. Mike Joyce.
Alan Nowicki getting 4 tire service for Paul Andrews and his crew. And for 2nd place, Kenny Schrader, maybe the first car all day to pass Davey Allison's black number 28.
It looks real good. Look at Rusty Wallace, so right up on Davey Allison's back bumper. He may take advantage of the side-by-side racing to get them both.
3 wide in turn 4. Here comes Schrader, hanging it out and looking for 2nd place. Folks, this is 135 miles an hour, closer together than you park.
And there's only 400-some miles to go. Right?
All right. This is no short track shootout. Sure looks like one. Rusty Wallace watching. He's got the best seat in the house for this battle. Brett Bodine has made his pit stop. At lap 78, Ernie Irvin is in. Tony Glover and the Morgan McClure team.
You see that tire rolling away, Mike? That's supposed to be, that's a $100 fine right there.
Clock running on Irvin's pit stop. A lot of wedge being jacked out of that left rear. Another tire taking a half a lap on its own there. Back with Rusty Wallace. The Irvin crew is done in 27.8 seconds. Up front, nobody wants to come in and spoil this good battle to give up track position. Davey Allison, they're pulling up on Derek Cope, who should move away from them with fresh tires. Here goes Rusty. Number 2, Chad Little following him along.
Chad Little is also one of the cars that got fresh tires, Mike. That's why you can see cars with fresh tires that make so much difference. They can just drive by the car leading the race if he's out there on hot, worn tires.
Mark Martin on pit road for 4 tires.
Rusty Wallace was able to get by Ken Schrader, so Rusty Wallace is now all the way up to 3rd position.
Make that second as he passed Davey Allison, and Allison scoots way high on the racetrack. There's Davey on the right side of your screen, and you see him losing ground to second place Rusty Wallace.
And then you probably, if you could overhear Davey, he's probably begging them to let him come in and get some fresh tires on that car.
Ken Schrader has dropped to 4th. Ricky Rudd holds on to the 5th spot, but closing up on Rudd are Mike Waltrip and Bill Elliott. There's Davey. Dick Trickle back out of the garage area, going past Davey Allison. Morgan Shepherd on pit road. And Shepherd will get service from Donnie Wingo and the Bud Warren crew. Here's Schrader moving back up, and Davey Allison. That car, when it went away, it went in a hurry.
It really did. Rusty Wallace was just driven away from Davey Allison.
Back behind that group, Ricky Rudd trying to hold off Bill Elliott, who's now moved around Mike Waltrip. There goes Schrader.
You can see how much Kenny Schrader beats Davey Allison in the middle of the turn.
This battle 14.5 seconds behind leader Kyle Petty, who is running virtually his own race. Schrader to the inside. Davey giving him lots of room.
Kenny doesn't quite have enough to clear him in the turn. He can beat him 2 car lengths, but not quite enough to clear him. Maybe he can do it this time. He does. He beat him by 4 car lengths to that turn.
Right behind him, Bill Elliott is coming fast. Darrell Waltrip on pit road now at lap 95. Waltrip getting good gas mileage, but check that lap 85. See how far some of these teams can stretch it out. Jeff Hammond's crew going for 4 as Earnhardt swings down off the banking at lap 85 and heads for the pits.
I'll tell you one thing we haven't covered, Mike. The guys have to be very careful coming to the pits because we drive the racetrack, but pit road is still very, very wet.
4 tires for Earnhardt as well. Glenn Jarrett.
Okay, we're in Davey Allison's pit, and they are getting ready to bring him in. He has been yelling at the crew on the radio, wanting tires. Some of the crews have been a lot of discussion here, wanting for him to come into tires right now. Steve Evans.
Rusty Wallace is also in with the number 2 Pontiac. It looks like a 4-tire change here as well. Jimmy Maynard, the leader of the band, is making very sure they don't have too many men over the wall. NASCAR watching very carefully on that. Right rears are on, left rears are on. Wallace is about away. Left gate.
Well, Mike, you can hear the whistle of air wrenches down here in the Kyle Petty pit. They are getting ready to stop as well. They've gotten very, very good tire mileage out of this thing. Nobody seems overly concerned, but he is ready. There's the sign going out. So Kyle Petty on his way in. Let's see what kind of a stop he can get here. If he's as quick in the pits as he has in the racetrack, we're going to be, everybody's in trouble, I'll tell you that.
Kyle Petty will be in at lap 89. He would have had to go to 98 laps in order to make this a 4 pit stop race. Kyle is coming in on lap 89. Let's go back pit side as he comes down to the attention of his crew. Brock?
Okay, Mike, this is Gary Nelson-led crew. They're ready. Here comes Kyle in. First on the right side. Fresh rubber all the way around, of course. Fuel in. Plug ducts coming unloosened on the left side. They'll come around with that lightweight jack. And this crew working very, very well here. Fuel, second can of fuel on board. Here comes the left front. Left rear on board. Clock running. We're at 24.5 seconds. Excellent stop for Kyle Petty back underway. Glenn, take it, Glenn.
Okay, Davey Allison is indeed coming in the pits. Everybody's ready. You can see the tire man there with the tires. Jake Elder holding out the sign to bring Davey in. They stretch this thing about as far as they can stretch it. I can't imagine that Davey's any too happy, but he is working his way now down on the low side of the racetrack. He will be in just a moment. They told us he would come in this lap.
No way,
like
Glenn.
Go one more.
He got caught with Richard Petty on the inside. Davey could not make the cut down pit road. Interestingly, Junior Johnson's cars both stopped together at lap 89. So did Huck Strickland. Kenny Schrader is on pit road now at lap 91. And the The Richard Broom team will put 4 tires on his Chevrolet. Now this time, Davey keeps it low on the racetrack to make sure he'll be able to get on pit road. He's signaling in case anyone behind runs up on him that he is coming to the pits. Here's Glenn.
Okay, third time is the charm. Davey Allison coming down pit road. He'll be pulling into the pit stall here just momentarily. I know he's really wanting these tires in. Here he is. The crew goes to work. This will be a 4-tire change. Joey Knuckles on the left side of the car. Already loosening the lug nuts so they can put those left side tires on. Davey looking very calm in the car. Now they're making the chassis adjustment on the car. You can see that there was some kind of weight adjustment made on the car, so looks like that he's going to do everything he can to try to get that 28 car to catch up with Kyle Petty.
Now the window for these pit stops has really stretched, and he's in the penalty box.
Now NASCAR is holding him. NASCAR is holding Davey up. Now they're letting him go, so we'll find out.
Left too many men over the wall in the Davey Allison pit. That's the call, and it's worth 15 seconds. 93 laps complete in the Goodwrench 500 here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. TNN live coverage continues after this. At the North Carolina Motor Speedway, Kyle Petty is back in the lead after the round of pit stops. Here again is second. Dave Marcus is not yet pitted. He hopes to pick up 5 bonus points for leading a lap here, but Kyle got in and out so quickly that Marcus is up there in 3rd place and still hasn't stopped. Rusty Wallace is 4th. Bill Elliott is 5th. 6th is Brett Bodine. 7th is Kenny Schrader. 8th is Ernie Irvin. Ricky Rudd is 9th, and Dale Earnhardt 10th after pit stop. You're riding with Davey Allison as he chases Richard Petty. Here's Glenn.
Well, we're in Davey Allison's pit with Joey Knuckles. Joey, there was a penalty involved there. What happened?
Well, I got a real good pit crew here, and I got a lot of guys in motion. And the right rear tire changer come back across the wall, and I had a guy go through to the left front. And the official, you know, just one of them deals. So we'll just try the best we can to get our lap back and, you know, do the best we can from there.
A lot of discussion going on with the NASCAR officials here from this crew team. They're not happy at all. Steve Evans?
I asked a NASCAR official yesterday for an interpretation on how many men over the wall. Is it like pool? You know, you got to keep 1 foot on the floor when you got a long shot? No, it's not like that. If you get 1 foot over that wall, there's a 15-second penalty. And Mr. Allison just found out. Now, the driver has something to worry about as well. See that line right there? If the driver touches that line, it's not like tennis where liners are good. You touch that with a spoiler, the NASCAR official on hand after the pit stop will stand in front of that car for 15 seconds. And here, 15 seconds is 3/4 of a lap.
Kyle Petty in the lead, trying to put a lap on Darrell Waltrip and Hut Strickland, who had a good run here. Let's look at the cars out of the race so far. Andy Hillenberg brought out the first caution, out with a blown engine. And right behind him, Jimmy Spencer and Terry Labonte, who went out at lap 15, crashing down the front straightaway. 101 of 492 laps complete. Kyle Petty led until he made his pit stop from the pole. Kenny Schrader went to the front briefly, so did Bill Elliott before they stopped. And now it is Kyle Petty back up front.
I tell you, it shows how much that penalty mattered to Davey Allison. Right now, they're showing Davey Allison a lap down, and he was 2nd, 3rd place car prior to his pit stop.
Kyle Petty well out in front. 5.5 seconds is his lead, but now he moves into traffic. Of the cars that pitted for 4 tires, Harry Gant was clocked with the best stop, 21.1 seconds. Kyle stopped, by contrast, was 25.5.
That puts Harry Gant all the way up to 2nd position.
Pit work and pit strategy will be key with these new NASCAR regulations and these 4-tire stops under green.
You see Kyle Petty right now moving to the outside of Mark Martin. You put him 1 lap down.
Riding with Davey Allison there ahead of Richard Petty. Davey a lap back. And Richard Petty. So Davey has had a bit of tough luck here, and the team that really thought they'd jump out of the box and do well and did. They had 2 pole positions to start the season with. Came within a whisker of a 3rd one here. Davey started in the 3rd position. And we were up to his shop during the week to have a look around Robert Yates Racing, one of the neatest racing facilities in this Winston Cup business, and check in with Robert Yates up at Robert Yates Racing.
Charlotte, North Carolina is the home to many teams, including Davey Allison's car owner, Robert Yates. Amidst the pounding and the roar of the engine dynamometer, Robert gave us some insights on what it takes to get ready to break the rock.
To prepare for Rockingham, we think about the time. It's a 5-hour race, generally a 5-hour race. Rockingham calls on the engine to perform at high RPM in order to get the car up off the corner because it is a slow corner. So it's one of the most challenging places for an engine builder. You know, when you're preparing for Rockingham, that's where you put your brand new rockers, your brand new valves. If you don't do this every race, you at least do it for Rockingham. And it just uses a lot of engine.
But it's not all engine. Everything gets attention, like this brake rotor. If the chassis won't apply the power to the track, it doesn't matter how many ponies you have, the rock will beat you up. Sometimes you even go back to tried and true methods.
Just today we decided, a day before time to leave, we've decided to change and go back to more of a basic chassis than what we even ran last time at Rockingham.
The difference, whatever the snout is.
And so the guys are thrashing, preparing the car for that race.
But right now, out of that penalty and pit stop, Davey Allison is out of the top 15. He is 1 lap down. On the point, Kyle Petty with 109 laps completed. There's Kyle working a bit of race traffic. Harry Gann in second, Rusty Wallace is third, Bill Elliott and Ken Schrader the top 5. Brett Bodine, who had the second best pit stop in that run, is 6th, ahead of Ricky Rudd, Ernie Irvin, Jeff Bodine, and Morgan Shepherd. Let's check with Brock Yates.
Hey, Mike, I'll tell you what, these guys down here in Kyle Petty's pit, they're thinking about water, but more about that Donzie. I think that, Donnie, we know about the deal with the boat. Are you guys getting ready to go to sea, or you got a little bit more work to do?
Yeah, Fred Willard, the president of Donzie Boats, promised the boats we could win one of the first 3 races. And Kyle got one already as a demo. He said, look, guys, if I can get you one, we can all have some fun on our time off. So we're going for it.
Based on the guys I count down here, you're going to be like a 60-footer to fit all you people on this thing.
I couldn't quite understand what you're saying.
We're going to need about a 60-footer to get everybody on it, right? I don't know whether Donzie builds one that big.
I don't think they do, but Felix owns a dealership that sells a few yachts. Maybe we can squeeze one out of him.
One way or another, these guys are going to sea. Mike?
I don't know, Phil. If he wins it on TNN, do we get one too?
I hope so.
112 laps complete. Kyle Petty continues to lead the Goodwrench 500. More after these messages. One, two, yes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're back. Well, I know we're back to you.
Good.
We're back at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Apologize for the brief delay, but engines aren't the only thing that are blowing up here. We had a circuit breaker go in the main tower. May have taken a lightning hit this morning during the rainstorm, so our apologies. Not much has changed. Kyle Petty is still trying to wear out the field. Now only 10 cars on the lead lap. as he's out front at lap 122.
One key car that's not on the lead lap is Dale Earnhardt. While we were away, Dale Earnhardt got lapped. You know, Ricky Rudd alluded to the fact that this was not one of Dale Earnhardt's best racetracks, and here he is, 122 laps of the race, already a lap down.
Kyle is the leader. Rusty Wallace has moved into second. Harry Gant is third. Ken Schrader is fourth, and Bill Elliott fifth. As Kyle tries to lap this pack of cars, here's Glenn Jarrett.
Bill Elliott's been with his older brother, Ernie, who is also the crew chief. Ernie, things been a little tough so far this year, but looks like Bill's got a good run going today.
Yeah, we're running very well today. Kyle's awful strong. You know, we feel like we're still in the race. We'll play it by ear and see how everything works.
Are you going to have anything left for Kyle later on, or is anybody going to have anything for him?
Well, I don't know. He's awful strong, but, you know, Kyle usually runs real good here. But, you know, the race ain't over till it's over, so we're going to hang in there and see how good we do.
Okay, they're hoping that maybe later on they'll have something for Kyle Petty. Rock Yates?
Well, I'm down here with Andy Petrie and Harry Gant's pit, and right at the end of the straightaway into turn one. A little noisy down here, Andy, but he's got to be running wild. You got to be pleased so far.
Well, we're not real pleased with it. The car's not driving just exactly right. We're a little out of sync on pit stop. We want to get that first set of tires off. You know, we're just going to try to map our strategy, not take it back up.
Well, he's got it stuck up there amongst the leaders. He's running pretty quick anyway.
Yeah, that 42 car just, you know, it kind of looks like it's impossible to do today, but, you know, we're just doing best.
Keep on trucking. Steve?
You know, our biggest problem in getting around the pits logistically in the past has been too many tires. Everybody had 12, 14 sets of tires. That's not true anymore. Let's take inventory in Rusty Wallace's pit. Here's a hot set of tires that came off the car. That's one. There's 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of tires. A total of 5 welded set on the car makes 6. That's half what they used to run. They're definitely cutting down on tire bills with these new pit rules, but something maybe they make up for that and then sheet metal when the tires are worn out.
Kyle Petty up at the front of this field. He is trying to lap the field. He's just put Jeff Bodine 1 lap down, along with brother Brett Bodine. We're getting on the way. We're about a quarter of the way into this race, and at halfway, some driver will win $10,000 from Gillette. The right guard halfway challenge. If you're 18 or over, you can call into the 900 number, 1-900-420-2222. Just give them your name and a phone number you'll be at halfway during this race. We'll tell you what driver wins the halfway challenge, and if you can tell Gillette when they call, you can win a brand new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. Once again, it's 1-900-420-2222. Each call costs 95 cents. Kyle Petty, Harry Gant, and Rusty Wallace. Wallace in second, Gant now third. Ken Schrader is the 4th place car. He and Bill Elliott have been battling along for 4th and 5th position. Ricky Rudd in the 6th spot, and Ernie Irvin 7th. Those are the only cars on the lead lap.
That's amazing, Mike, that we have gone only 130 laps into this race, and there's only 7 cars back in the lead lap.
Okay. Also point out that our on-screen graphics trailer has also taken a lightning hit, and we'll hope to have those capabilities back up for you shortly. Meanwhile, audio, I'll take you back through the field just a bit. 8th spot, 1 lap down, Jeff Bodine. Brett Bodine is 9th. Morgan Shepherd is 10th. Dale Earnhardt 11th. Sterling Marlin is 12th. Mike Waltrip 13th. 14th, Dale Jarrett. 15th is Richard Petty. 16th, Davey Allison. 17th, Bobby Hillen. And 18th is Mark Martin. All of those cars are 1 lap down as Rick Mass makes his second pit stop of the day here at lap 130. Now, what Andy Petrie was talking about, we pitted a little early, got out of sequence. He was the car that started the pit stop window under green at 70 laps. They pitted beginning at lap 70 and ending at lap 91, or 92 rather, when Davey Allison came in. Here's Brock.
Well, Mike, I'm with Richard Broom, the crew chief on Kenny Schrader's car. They're back here having a conference about tires. Richard, I noticed you've got a couple of sets of scuffs back here. Are you thinking about using them?
Well, I don't know. Right now, there is a possibility that I will put them on. We're just trying to get caught up.
Everybody's been fooling around with tires, but you're the only guys that got a set of scuffed tires. Everybody else has brushed rubber back here. What do you reckon the advantage would be?
Well, I don't know. I think maybe our car will probably run better on scuffs than it will on stickers.
So you're going to try it? You got to try something with Kyle running away from the field.
He's running away from us. I got to do something.
Desperate men do desperate things, right?
Pardon?
Desperate men do desperate things. That's it. Okay, Steve, take it away.
I'm a Jimmy Makar, Rusty Wallace, and Crew Chief. You've got to be proud of this new team. Only the third race, and your man's out there running up strong second.
Well, right now we're running pretty good. Everything seems to be real good. Rusty said the car feels good. Just kind of trying to keep up with Kyle right now. You know, he's running awful strong. We're just trying to keep the same lap times as him.
Thank you, Jimmy. Let's go back to Mike.
13 seconds is the advantage that Kyle Petty has on Rusty Wallace. And here are the third and fourth place cars. 25, Kenny Schrader, and 33, Harry Gant. Now, Schrader has an advantage in his pocket in that he pitted 21 laps after Gant and can run a lot longer on this tank full and this set of tires. That can Harry Gant. Look who's peeking in, Bill Elliott's Ford.
Harry's gone real high in the turns. I've been watching Harry for a few laps. He's gone real high. Kenny Schrader passed him the last lap, the exact same place that Bill Elliott just passed him.
So move Schrader up to third, Elliott to fourth, and Harry Gant back to the fifth spot. Wonder if Gant may be coming in. He's hard on the brakes and is on pit road. So Gant didn't want to sit with that set of tires for very long. It is 65 laps since his first stop. Here's Brock Yates.
You heard Andy Petrie earlier say they're trying to get back into the sequence here, and this is a stop for Harry Gant as they go to work on the race car. It doesn't look like we're going to see a chassis change on the automobile. Nobody cranking around with a weight. It's just left side rubber now around to the right side. So
interesting, Phil, on every stop, everybody is getting 4 tires.
Oh, yeah, they're not even thinking about getting 2 tires.
So Gant gets a little further out of sequence with this second pit stop at lap 135. He'll go down at least 1 lap to Kyle Petty, and here comes Kyle going around Harry Gant at turn 2 to put him 2 laps down. The Goodwrench 500 on TNN continues after these messages. Third place is the battle behind Kyle Petty and Rusty Wallace. Ken Schrader and Bill Elliott battling with Ricky Rudd in the 5th position. Ernie Irvin, Brett Bodine, and Jeff Bodine, Sterling Marlin, Morgan Shepherd back a lap as we look through the top 10. And on the racetrack, we watch this battle for third spot. Schrader and Elliott, and it looks like Elliott's just found a comfortable place to hang out there.
Elliott knows that there's Kyle Petty's getting away from him right now, Mike, but there's not a whole lot they can do about it. What they're going to have to do is run their race, not worry about Kyle Petty. Right now, I think everyone's racing for second. Or if they can improve their cars, then they'll be trying to catch Kyle Petty.
Alan Kulwicki on pit road. Here's Glenn.
Well, Bill Parsons, you're exactly right. That's exactly what's going on here. I just talked to Ernie Elliott. They're just awaiting their next scheduled pit stop. He said just exactly what you said. They're just having to take Kyle Petty out of this thing right now. Nobody can handle him, so they're racing for second place. The car's performing well. He's comfortable with it. They're just basically racing until they can get something, get in here and maybe make some more changes. It might be able to, it might enable them to catch up with Kyle Petty. Right now, the race is for second place, though.
Alan Kulwicki is suffering through another abysmal pit stop trouble on the right front, and it takes them 44 seconds to change 4 tires. He was running with this pack of cars we're seeing now, Jeff Bodine and Sterling Marlin, the 11 and 22. Kulwicki got kicked up to the top of the racetrack and came in for tires, but it was an excruciatingly long stop. Here's Brock Yates.
Well, Mike, you can see that the Richard Childress-led crew of Dale Earnhardt is not particularly elated down here. I just talked to Richard, and he gave me a little wig-wag signal with his hands, which implies that the car is very, very loose. And they're going to try to correct it when they come back into the next stop, but they're going to stay out there. They feel they've got a ways to go, obviously, and hopefully Dale can make a charge after the next stop. Steve?
If there's such a thing as serenity and calm at a Winston Cup event, you'll find it in the pits of Rusty Wallace, number 2. Jimmy Makar, he's not smiling, but everything else up. They've got total confidence in the car, the tires, the weapons chassis setup, and of course the driver. But calm has always been a benchmark of any Penske operation. Mike?
Rusty Wallace in car. Alan Kulwicki flying out of those 2 tires, but here's Wallace moving around in second place. Well back of Kyle Petty, but with a leg up on Bill Elliott in third. The new Wallace Penske organization, Rusty, Roger, and Don Miller are the partners, and they have a beautiful new race facility. TNN took a look at it. Here it is.
The most successful name in American racing, Roger Penske, has returned to NASCAR after a long absence. Rusty Wallace is not just the driver. He's the inspiration and part owner. We visited their Charlotte area show shop. For racers who dream of such facilities, the pictures speak for themselves.
I knew how much money it took to do this. Getting the sponsorship was one thing. Putting the sponsorship together to run the season, or if you signed a 3-year contract, you put enough sponsorship money to run 3 years, that's fine. But then if you have hard times at the end of that 3 years, what do you do now? Throw the towel in, fold up? Let me tell you, there's a lot of teams that had to do that. I didn't want to get myself in that position, so I wanted to have an owner that had enough capital or enough backing that we could continue on racing. My partner right now, Don Miller, Don worked for Penske Corporation, and basically through Don, I was able to put this relationship together. And so 1980, I had a chance to drive one of the Penske cars at Atlanta. I finished second. It was a good run for us, but then after that, it just got really complex, so we canned the deal. I got more experience. 10 years later, I called upon him again to see if he might be interested, and he jumped for that deal, so we're together. It's a long-term deal right now.
Rusty Wallace is a hands-on guy. He has the knowledge to be a part of every facet of car preparation. He built his own cars from scratch in the lean days. Even though he now has a financial stake, when the helmet goes on, the bean counting stops.
When I'm at the racetrack, I never have a problem distinguishing myself from race car driver to car owner. I don't even think that. And that was one of my main concerns also. I didn't want to get light on the right foot thinking, hey, I own part of this deal. I don't want to tear part of it up. No, I never think that. When I go out there, I give it 110% and pretend that I'm just driving for somebody else.
Rusty Wallace driving his heart out and in second place behind Kyle Petty. 5 cars on the lead lap. And this was a great battle going on here. Back at 8th place, Brett Bodine moved around brother Jeff and then took over from Mike Waltrip. So we'll move him up on the leaderboard to 8th place in the 26 car. Mike Waltrip back to 9th and Jeff Bodine to 10th. 152 laps. Ernie Irvan just made a pit stop. Second round of green flag stop is underway. We'll be back after this. Brett Bodine has just made his pit stop, the second one of the day. And for Brett, it comes at lap 155. He was the 8th place car. Trouble in one. Richard Petty is up there, Harry Gant and Dave Markin. In a big tangle between turns 1 and 2, Jeff Furman just spun off the bottom of the racetrack, trying to avoid it. Petty, Marcus, and Gant were the 3 players, and it will bring out the caution flag for the 3rd time today.
I tell you, Mike, it looked like Harry Gant and Richard Petty got together going into turn 1. We were watching Brett Bodine leave the pits after his 4-tire change. And just out of the corner of my eye, I saw Richard Petty and Harry Gant. Well, let's take a look at it and see if we can see what happened. Right now, they're already sideways. You can see the tire smoke from this distance. You see Ernie Irvan just get by Richard Petty on the high side.
And Davey Allison on the bottom.
Davey Allison on the bottom. That's Dave Marcus in the blue car to the right of the screen. We'll take another look at it from a different angle and see if we can tell exactly what happened to start this thing. Doesn't look like the cars are damaged too much. Here they are. Harry Gant tried to get underneath Richard Petty as they went in turn 1. They got together. Richard came down, and you know, nobody hit too hard. It just Kyle Petty got by Harry Gant while he was backwards on the racetrack. So Kyle Petty is now a lap down. I mean, Harry Gant is now a lap down.
Now, here's who gets burned on the caution flag. Alan Kulwicki had already made his second stop. So had Ernie Irvan, Derek Cope, Brett Bodine, Harry Gant. Each of those cars will be more than a lap down to the field as a result of having stopped under green before this caution came out and before the rest of the leaders made pit stops.
That'll put Harry Gant now 2 laps down. He was 2 laps down after his pit stop, past Kyle Petty with his fresh tires. Here comes Jeff Bodine in the pits.
And Mark Martin, who had also been in. Now, these cars are in for fuel. No tire changes under the caution unless you have a tire flat. Earnhardt is in. You're watching Jeff Bodine. There's Earnhardt. Alan Kulwicki, Bill Elliott, Darrell Waltrip, Ernie Irvan.
See, it looks like Richard Cho is making a chassis adjustment on Dale Earnhardt's car. Bill Elliott's going to get a penalty because he's over the edge of his pit. Let's go to Brock Yates.
Okay, well, there you saw Richard Childress make that chassis adjustment. You're absolutely right, Phil. On the left rear, the car, as I told you earlier, was really, really squirrely, and hopefully they'll get that corrected. But Dale just couldn't do a whole lot worse than he's doing right now. He's really having some hard troubles, and he's working really hard.
Bill Elliott, you saw in the penalty box, not a severe penalty because they are under caution. So Elliott will be able to get back up with the leaders. We have another look at the incident in turns 1 and 2 involving Dave Marcus, Richard Petty, and Harry Gant. This is from Darrell Waltrip's car. Looking right ahead. There's Gant on the inside. Gets a little slideways up into Richard. Dave Marcus hard on the brakes, and Darrell is staring right at Harry Gant's door.
Darrell had a heck of a view. Looked like Harry Gant was going to lap Richard Petty on the bottom going into turn 1. I don't think Richard knew he was there. Richard came down to take the bottom line. Harry ran across the apron to keep from running into Richard, lost the car, then bounced up into Richard, and that's what caused the accident.
It is the third caution flag of the day. The first was for Andy Hillenberg's blown engine at lap 8. The second for the Terry Labonte Jimmy Spencer crash at lap 16. And this is the third caution of the day. The right guard half-weight challenge. You can call in. You still have time to call in and register at the 900 number on your screen. Each call costs 95 cents. And if you know which driver wins the $10,000 from Gillette, you may win a Pontiac Grand Prix SE if they call you after the halfway. Now, halfway is 246 laps if we're under green. Otherwise, the award goes to the driver who's leading on the 5th green flag lap after that caution. We are under caution, third one today. And the man they're all chasing is Kyle Petty in that black, green, and yellow Pontiac of Felix Sabates, engineered by Gary Nelson. Let's have a look at Bill Elliott's crew as they went to work and see what caused that penalty.
You see the very front of his car, Mike, over the white line. You'll see the NASCAR official in the blue sweater pointing at the line down there. So he holds Bill Elliott for about 15 seconds after his pit stop. This is the best time for that to happen because it's under caution flag. He's not going to lose any time on the racetrack. All it'll hurt him a little bit is track position, but he made his pit stop. Not a whole lot of people did, so he'll be at the back of the pack anyway.
He is on the lead lap, Phil, so he gets the free pass up to the front of the line on the outside. On the lead lap, Elliott in 4th place. Kenny Schrader in 3rd. The 2-car, Rusty Wallace and Kyle Petty up front. Harry Gant and Richard Petty still running. They're both 2 laps down after that altercation in turns 1 and 2. Away from Rusty Wallace and the car behind. Derek Cope is the car inside Kyle Petty.
See Rusty Wallace trending his car very hard, trying to clean off his tires. They get pick up a lot of buildup. And you can see him now restart, shift into 3rd gear on the restart.
Kyle Petty sprints away from Rusty Wallace and leads the charge to turn 1. And Wallace had to get way out of the throttle there. Ricky Rudd comes up the inside, trying to get a lap back. Rudd is the 5th place car, 1 lap down in number 5.
Well, that's the first car we've seen ahead of Kyle Petty today anyway, Mike. Derek Cope was ahead of him. Now we're looking at Ken Schrader's car off the back of Rusty Wallace's in-car camera.
Derek Cope is 3 or more laps behind. He got one of those back just now. And Rusty Wallace right behind Ricky Rudd, 5th place car, a lap down. Kyle Petty, the race leader, splitting the 1st and 2nd place cars in Rudd. 4 cars on the lead lap, and with the occasion of that caution flag, 9 cars a lap down. Another 6 cars 2 laps back. Wallace in 2nd. Schrader in 3rd, Elliott 4th, then a lap down. Ricky Rudd is 5th. 6th, Sterling Marlin. 7th, Mike Waltrip. 8th is Jeff Bodine. 9th, Morgan Shepherd. And 10th is Dale Jarrett. 11th, Dale Earnhardt. 12th is Darrell Waltrip, and 13th is Davey Allison. Then 2 laps down, Richard Petty, Bobby Hillin, Rick Wilson, Harry Gant, Ernie Irvin, and Brett Bodine. Here's Glenn Jarrett.
Okay, Richard Petty has come in. Now, this is a regularly scheduled stop. When he spun up there, under the new caution rules, pit rules, could not change tires. So he actually lost the time on the racetrack. There was no damage done to the car. However, they decided to wait, come back in under green, and change all 4 tires. You can see him now getting the left side tires on the car. No chassis adjustments done. Having a little trouble. They got a lug nut stripped on the left front now. That's putting him down a little. He's down and away.
So Richard Petty will now go 3 laps down, along with Dave Marcus, Mark Martin, Bobby Hamilton, man. Petty back up to speed. Bill Elliott is on the lead lap. 25 is Schrader, the third-place car. Elliott trying to ramble around on the outside. He is fourth and the last car on the lead lap. Chad Little's the 19. And Ernie Irvin gets underneath Elliott there. Is Elliott slowed up, or is he just balked in traffic?
Looks like he slowed up a little bit, Mike. He may not have the best set of tires right now. I'm not, you know, his tires are probably as fresh as about everybody. Probably fresher than most, other than the people that have made their second pit stop. So I'm not sure exactly what's wrong.
Look at the front five. As we told you, the first four are on the lead lap. Ricky Rudd is one down in fifth place. 6 through 10, all one lap down. Back through Morgan Shepherd, who is now on pit road, along with Dale Jarrett, and then Jeff Bodine. So Shepherd, this is a scheduled stop at lap 168 for the Buck Moore car. And third and fourth, that battle is rejoined once again. Dale Jarrett also for a scheduled stop at 168.
So Mark Martin just drive by Kenny Schrader. Mark Martin we're not showing him as making his second pit stop. He may have already, so but he just drove by Kenny Schrader. It sure looks like he has fresher tires on than Ken Schrader.
Two Pontiacs running for class honors. The new tires on Richard Petty's car, allowing him to open up the distance on Rusty Wallace. 170 laps down, 492. Make up the race today. We'll be back with more of the Goodwrench 500 live on TNN after this. Everybody's on pit road, including race leader Kyle Petty. Both the Junior Johnson cars, Sterling Marlin and Jeff Bodine, are also in. Dale Earnhardt getting service. 4 tires for Kyle Petty. Here's Brock Yates.
Okay, we're down here in the Kyle Petty pit, and it was a good, quick stop. 24.1 seconds. So once again, the pit crew is doing just as good a job down here. And again, Mike, no chassis adjustments on this thing. I'm here with Felix Sabatis, who, Felix, you were a little late. Felix was over in Charlotte this morning. I didn't reckon that he was going to get out in time, the rain coming down. But I understand about 7 laps at Unreal before you got on the racetrack.
Well, actually, I saw the first lap from the helicopter. We were flying in when they dropped the green flag, and I saw Kyle taking the lead. So I didn't really think that we'd run the race today. I'm glad we're doing it because I got to go to work tomorrow.
Well, I know for an enthusiast like yourself, you must have been really upset.
Well, you know, I wanted to win and run it today, so I'm glad we're doing it.
Okay, up to you, Mike.
Darrell Waltrip on pit road. Davey Allison, Ricky Rudd also getting service. Kenny Schrader now in at lap 176.
Mike, we see the NASCAR official again in the red coat pointing at the line. Darrell Waltrip straight over the line. He'll get a 15-second penalty.
Davey Allison pulling out with 4 tires and a tank of gasoline from the Robert Yates-led crew. 22.3 seconds. Brock?
Okay, here he is, Kenny Schrader in the pit. Once again, as everybody doing all 4 tires back underway. Quick tire, 22 seconds. Steve, take it away.
The Rusty Wallace crew is also prepared to pit. Gas in hand. They have 4 tires ready. It remains to be seen if they utilize all of them. But the air wrenches are ready to whir. And here, yes, comes Rusty Wallace. Very few teams in motor racing any more disciplined than any Penske team, whether it's Indy racing or stock car racing. And look at these men work under the direction of Jimmy Maycar, who came with Rusty Wallace out of the Raymond Beetle operation when it folded its doors. This is a terrific stop. Windshield being played, left rubber going on. You can see the 5 men over the wall plus the catch cam. That's the 6th man. Very careful to not break that rule. Wallace stopped well short of the forward line, and he's out of here.
24.4 seconds for that Rusty Wallace pit stop. And Bill Elliott takes the lead.
We were just talking about how bad he was running a few minutes ago. Now here he is in the lead, Mike. But he really wasn't running that bad. He just got passed by a couple cars. He really wasn't running that bad.
We'll send someone to Davey Allison's pit. Black flag on Allison's car. Ratchet. Oh, no, the ratchet wrench. They made a big chassis adjustment and left the ratchet. You know, that ratchet is attached to a very long extension down to the socket, and you have to pull it straight up and all the way up and out. To get it out, it's a very small hole in the left-hand rear window, and they didn't get it out. So they will stop to remove it, and we'll see what the NASCAR has to say about that. Put a little fuel in while he's there, and let him go.
Tough break. You know, it's not that he only spends 2 or 3 seconds on pit road, but it takes him several seconds to slow down and then to get back up to speed. Let's go down to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, we're in Davey Allison's pits again, and I tell you, they've had an awfully tough day today. Just nothing seems to go right. You're indeed right. They left the ratchet wrench when they made a wedge adjustment on that pit stop. Left it hanging in the car. NASCAR black flag and brought them back in. That just puts them further and further behind. Looks like they're just destined to have a bad day today.
Well, talk about strategy. The driver who has not been on pit road for tires since lap 92 is on a lap by himself, Bill Elliott. Kyle Petty closing in, but Elliott's number 9 is on a lap by himself. Up on Darrell Waltrip. See how high he goes there.
With the fresh tires on Kyle's car, well, it won't be long until he's got some company in the lead line.
Now, these pit stops came sooner than the first round of pit stops under green, as if when one car came in for tires, everybody else came in to get fresh rubber.
I think what happened, Mike, they watched Harry Gant. You know, he was one of the first cars to make this pit stop. And Harry was about a 5th place car when he made his first pit stop. After the pit stops were done, he pitted so early, he had the fresh tires and ran so fast for more laps than everybody else because he had fresher tires. He found himself in 2nd position, only about 5 laps behind Kyle Petty. So I think everybody watched that, went to school on it. That's why you saw him pitting that earlier.
Here is Kyle Petty getting a lap back from Bill Elliott. Now the question is, how long will they leave Elliott out there? Because the cars on fresh tires will, as you say, run away. Let's find out from Glenn Jarrett.
Okay, we're standing by in Bill Elliott's pit right now. You can see they are getting ready for the pit stop. It's going to be a 4-tire change. Bill's getting awfully, here he comes down pit road right now. He's getting awfully good gas mileage, 4-4. Bill Elliott comes to a stop in his pits now, and watch his crew go to work. These guys are some of the best in the business. They've won the Pit Crew Championship several times. They don't waste any time. There's no inefficient motion here. They've got the right side tires off. The left side tires are now coming off, putting 23 gallons of fuel in this car. I tell you, he's in a very, very good position right now because he's staying out on the racetrack a little longer than most of the other cars. We're on about lap 185 right now. That's awfully good fuel mileage. See him making the chassis adjustment. And the crew that got caught in also, there is a ratchet hung on Bill Elliott's car. Man, this is unbelievable. Same thing that happened to Davey Allison. You can see the crewman there. He's awfully disappointed.
So here's Elliott going around a little bit of aerodynamic unenhancement, and he'll have to come back in. That will cost him a lap.
He really will.
On the racetrack, not a penalty, but on the racetrack.
By the time he slows down, comes back in the pits, and, you know, takes 2 or 3 seconds. Let's go back to Glenn Jarrett. Go, Glenn.
And once again, Bill Elliott comes down pit road. You can see the ratchet turning itself around, hanging in the right rear of the car. Boy, that's a terrible break to stop the tank off with fuel again. That is so costly. He had a great run going today. That's really going to put him back in the standings.
That crewman looked like a lineman who just missed the key block, and his runner got tackled. Tough break for Bill Elliott, as it was for Davey Allison. Rick Mast on pit road, and that's his 3rd stop of the day. It comes at lap 187 here in the Goodwrench 500. Kyle Petty running back to the front. We'll have more right after these messages. 2 of the fastest cars in this race have fallen victim to the same problem. First Davey Allison, and now the 9 car of Bill Elliott. Let's have another look at what happened on the Elliott pit stop.
You see the guy on the right rear of the car in uniform putting wedge in the car or taking wedge out, whichever it may be. They drop the jack, take off. Bill carries him 3 or 4 pits down, or a couple pits down. Could not be, as you mentioned earlier, Mike, he has to pull that ratchet long extension straight up out of there. And obviously he was hanging on for dear life and couldn't do it, so Bill consequently had to come back in the pits. Let's go down to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, still in Bill Elliott's pits, and the tragedy continues here today, or the dilemma, I should say. We went to Ernie Elliott to find out what happened there, what could possibly cause that problem. Somebody on the radio said, go, and he wasn't ready. After Bill left the pits, you're looking at Alexis Lyris now, who keeps times and laps for Bill. She was sitting back here. They started moving the gas cans around and all the equipment after the pit stop. Somebody knocked her over sprawling backwards, so she's lucky she didn't get a bad injury. Just not a good day in the Bill Elliott pit. Rock Yates?
Mike, I'm down here with Donnie Robinson, who's handling Kyle Petty's pitch. You seem to be paying more attention to the competition right now than to Kyle. He's running so well.
Yeah, what we're really concerned about is because the lap times drop off so much here due to the racetrack, and we're more worried if guys are watching their lap times going by the tires or they're trying to stretch the gas mileage, just so we have a strategy at the end for them.
You feel good about that strategy? It's going perfectly so far.
Right now, everything's going fine.
Okay, obviously so. Okay, that's it from here. Take it away, Steve.
Well, Brock, here's the flip side. Jimmy Maker is never lonely in the pits because Rusty Wallace talks constantly on the radio. What is he saying? What does he think about the competition in front of him?
Well, so far, everything's going pretty good. The car's been handling real well. He said he can't think of anything he needs to do to it. So right now, we're just kind of riding it out, trying to keep Kyle in sight. You know, Kyle's pretty strong right now, but this Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac has got him in sight. We're going to try and do something with him.
That last pit stop was magnificent. Any way it could have been better.
Yeah, it'd always be better. You know, that's what we try for, to get better and better every week.
All right, back in third.
Kyle Petty up front in the Goodwrench 500, where he spent just about all day. Rusty Wallace is second, two Pontiacs, leading a Chevrolet of Ken Schrader, a Buick of Brett Bodine, and the Chevy of Ernie Irvin. Those are the front five. 6 through 10, Bill Elliott, Harry Gant, a little further back, as you ride along with Darrell Waltrip. That windshield beginning to streak up a little bit.
It really is. We're very fortunate that it's a cloudy day, because late in the race down on turn one, it's horrible. The sun is right in your eyes. As the windshield gets dirty or sandblasted, it's very, very difficult to see. But with an overcast day, then the sun is not a problem.
And here goes Darrell right against the leader, Kyle Petty, trying to get a lap back. Waltrip, we are showing as the end of a lap down, unofficially moving against race leader Kyle Petty. So he may have just gone 2 down. Back into the corner, down at turn 1.
He sure wants to get one of those laps back, Mike. Darrell's doing all he can do to try to get back by Kyle Petty.
That's the Mickey Gibbs car on the inside, the new Barry Dodson effort. As they move past, and Darrell a little bit higher on the racetrack. Kyle Petty's been running like he's been tied on a string, and here's the Derek Cope car. In trouble. Oil smoke, Rocket?
Yeah, I'm here in Derek Cope's pit, and he came in with fire belching out from all cracks and crevices in the hood. It was obviously a carburetor fire, so the crew is working on it, trying to get something done, taking the air cleaner off now, but Derek is out of the race car and apparently finished for the day. We'll talk to him if we can. We'll get over here and talk to Derek. Derek Cope out of the race car. Talk to Derek if we can. Okay.
And that car catches fire once again.
Okay, more
NASCAR
problem.
crews are there.
Yeah, okay, here's Derek Cope here. Okay, Derek, what's the problem?
We got tires on the car, and come back in the pits, and I went out and things started catching on fire. I don't know what happened, but just tried to bring it back in before we start burning the whole car up.
What happened with the race car? Fire just caught, the carburetor caught fire. Did you shut it down to get it into the pit?
Well, I don't really know exactly. You know, I was bringing the fuel there generally out of the pits after the 4 tires stopped, going out back straightaway, started smoking and filling the car up, so I knew it was on fire. I didn't know how to what extent, though.
Okay, we're sorry you're out. Tough break for Derek Cope. Has run well.
Cope is out. We're now riding along with Rusty Wallace. Rick Wilson has moved up on by Rusty. Rick Wilson driving for Harry Hyde and the Savola brothers. Shown 2 laps down. Rusty trying to slip on past. Wilson's having a good run here.
He really is. I tell you, that's Kyle Petty to the far left of your screen right there, Mike. And we pan back, and that's Rusty Wallace on the inside of Rick Wilson. Rusty in the other black car. I think Rusty Wallace is catching Kyle Petty for the first time today. It looks like somebody's faster than Kyle Petty.
That would be a difference. Now, Rusty was last in on lap 177. Kyle just 4 laps prior, and the gap is now 2.4 seconds.
They're on similar tires, so right now we're comparing apples to apples. If Rusty had 40 40 less laps on his tires, then we could say, well, he's got fresher tires. But they're on, as you mentioned, within 4 laps of pitting at the same time. So now we've got a good shot of seeing if anybody can run with Kyle Petty.
And a tip of the hat to Larry McReynolds and McKenny Bernstein's crew. They've got Brett Bodine out on 2 really quick stops, and Brett is now up to 4th place. Ernie Irvan in 5th. Bill Elliott continues to show in 6th. Now you see Kyle Petty well up ahead of Rusty Wallace, but in sight, and that's got to do good things for a race driver when he's chasing somebody down.
Oh, it sure does, especially since from the drop of the green flag, nobody's been able to keep Kyle Petty in sight for very long. So Rusty Wallace, right now, he's got that killer instinct. And yeah, you see Darrell Waltrip there. Darrell was trying to get by Kyle Petty, so Kyle has left Darrell Waltrip, and now Rusty has caught Darrell. So I think Rusty Wallace has the fastest car in the racetrack. We'll see. We'll get another interval here in a minute, and we'll see if indeed Rusty Wallace is catching Kyle Petty.
Darrell now, unofficially, 2 laps down to race leader Kyle Petty. 2.2 seconds, so indeed, Wallace is catching Kyle Petty, and here's Harry Gant to start the pit road procedure once again at lap 207. Gant is in for his 3rd green flag stop of the day. There's the interval, Kyle, then Rusty. Darrell just behind. Rusty Wallace in 2nd. Kenny Schrader's the 3rd place car. Brett Bodine is 4th. 5th is Bill Elliott. Then Ernie Irvan, Harry Gant, and Sterling Marlin. Morgan Shepherd and Dale Earnhardt round out the top 10. Here's Glenn Jarrett.
This is Larry McReynolds, who is the crew chief for Brett Bodine. Larry, awfully good pit stop so far. How's Brett say if the car is doing right now?
Well, right now, he don't have a real lot of complaints, Glenn. It's just that 42 car is making our life and everybody else's life miserable. I think for once, not getting the best fuel mileage in the world is helping us just a little bit because we're pitting 10 or 15 laps earlier than like Kyle, and that gives us about a 15 to 20-second advantage back on the racetrack on good tires.
Well, we said at the top of the show that pit work was going to be the key, and you guys have done a great job today here in the pits for Brett.
Yeah, I mean, it fell lucky for us a while ago. We pitted and the caution come out, and the pack slowed down enough to only allow us to go 1 lap down, changing 4 tires.
Well, they're satisfied so far, but they're just having a lot of trouble keeping up with that number 42 car.
Well, next time he comes around, he's going to be a spot further back. Bill Elliott just put the move on Brett Bodine, and that will change 4th place. Trying to move past Rich Bickle, the Wisconsin driver. There in the 47 car. Back up front, riding with Kyle Petty as Rusty Wallace tries to reel him in. We're approaching the halfway point of the Goodwrench 500, and we'll be back with more on TNN right after this. As Kyle Petty fights to put Ernie Irvan 1 lap down, Rusty Wallace is there. And somebody else may lead this race other than Kyle Petty, except for during the run of pit stop.
Rusty Wallace, you know, before the break, he was like almost 2.5 seconds behind. And here he is right on his bumper. So Rusty Wallace definitely is the quickest car on the racetrack.
Whatever Jimmy Makar includes into that car was exactly the right thing at the right time. Irvan is trying to stay on the lead lap, and he is holding off Kyle Petty in the 4 car, but look how Ernie scoots up the racetrack. The leader is underneath and by him.
Ernie Irvan just cannot quite run with these 2 cars right now, but I think if we can see Rusty Wallace, if he can get by the 4 car and catch back up to Kyle Petty, we could have a real good race for the lead.
Ernie Irvan is the 6th place car, and he goes 1 lap down. Kyle Petty, the race leader. Rusty Wallace right on his bumper for 2nd. Ken Schrader runs 3rd. Bill Elliott is back up into 4th. Brett Bodine, good solid run in 5th place. 1 lap down, Ernie Irvan, Sterling Marlin, Dale Earnhardt, Ricky Rudd, and Michael Waltrip. The top 10. Just behind them, Morgan Shepherd, Dale Jarrett, and Darrell Waltrip. Riding with Rusty Wallace, and at that distance, the back bumper, that 42 looks kind of wide.
You know, we talked earlier in the show that Felix needed to tell Kyle to slow down to get on TV. Well, maybe he just listened to, maybe Felix overheard it, and maybe he listened to him.
Could be. Here's Steve.
Well, I'll tell you, here in the distance, the crew staring at this run straight away, hoping to see Rusty Wallace. And you got the lead, Jimmy, you got the lead. With it, Jimmy Makar, you got the lead, number 1.
Well, long way to go yet. We're just going to have to pace ourselves and see if it'll last.
Well, he still liked it anyway, believe me.
26 laps from halfway. And now you're looking out the back bumper of Rusty Wallace's car. First time we've seen this shot of Kyle Petty today.
That's Brett Bodine right now that is side by side with Kyle Petty. So that's our 5th place car that has now gone down the lap.
The last Winston Cup win for a Roger Penske race car. The 1975 Southern 500. Bobby Allison drove a Penske car to victory. An AMC Matador. Now Wallace in command and moving away from Kyle Petty.
Say, my brother Benny was leading that race after a rain delay and ran through some water and hit the wall, and that allowed Bobby Allison to win.
Here is Kenny Schrader. And Schrader is the 3rd place car. 4 cars now on the lead lap. Here's Brock Yates.
Well, Mike, I'm with Richard Broom. We just checked the watch, and Kenny Schrader sitting back there in 3rd place. About what? What do we got on the watch, Richard?
Well, we got about a 7-second differential, and Kyle's car must be going away on him, and we're just trying to get caught up right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, Rusty Wallace is showing some real strength right now, but Kenny just hanging in there, and only about 7 seconds back. Have you found out your tire problem to be assaulted yet?
Well, the car's just been a little tight all day, and we've been loosening it up gradually, and I think we're going to be good here at the end.
Well, we've been watching, so let's keep our eye on 25. Let's go to Glenn.
Ernie Elliott keeping a watchful eye on Brother Bill out there. Ernie, despite all the problems he's had here in the pits, Bill's still doing a tremendous job on the racetrack.
Yeah, you know, we messed up on the last pit stop. Left the wedge reach in the car and then come back in, but the car's running real good. I mean, we're real happy with the way it's running. We just wish we hadn't messed up.
While we were away there, we were watching them file down the edges on this ratchet wrench so we make sure that problem doesn't happen again.
Yeah, we're going to make sure it doesn't happen next time.
Okay.
Bill Elliott having a good run here despite that one small miscue on pit road. Ernie Irvin is on pit road as you watch Elliott circulate. And Dale Earnhardt running in the top 10 just a lap down. There's Earnhardt against Dick Trickle, who spent some extended time on pit road and in the garage here today. The championship team for 1990 and for several times operates out of Welcome, North Carolina, and Richard Childress's huge and immaculately prepared race shop.
Be hard to find a friendlier place than Welcome, North Carolina, home of Childress Racing and the number 3 Dale Earnhardt-driven Chevrolets, 4-time Winston Cup champs. Engines? They've got plenty of engines. And race cars to put those engines in. Lots of race cars. And a manual not found in most stock car shops. It belongs to Bobby Hutchins, chief in-house engineer. You see, Childress Racing is the only team currently building their cars from absolute scratch. Other teams buy semi-completed cars and finish them to their own specs. Richard Childress, fabricator Dan Kinger, and crew chief Kurt Shelmerdine collaborate with Hutchins on the design.
Well, our main philosophy here is that we feel like we can keep the quality of the workmanship here in-house a lot better than what we can buy. Purchase chassis outside. We can also control straightness of the chassis. Some secrets, as you may call it, as to how we do things here, as well as keep safety, which is probably our main goal. Our most recent generation car here is a car that we've built in the last, I guess, over the last 6 months that Richard, Kurt, myself, and Dan Kingen, who builds the cars, came up with. It's to structurally strengthen the car so that we are allowed to accommodate the shocks and springs for the radial tire more. And it's our Rockingham car, which you see here now, that we will be competing with at Rockingham this coming weekend.
Hard to believe, but all that raw tubing will ultimately form a 200-mile-per-hour Chevy Lumina after thousands of hours of bending, welding, and hand fabrication. When you build them yourself, not only can you keep your secrets secret, you also know them like your own children. In some cases, maybe even better.
Well, for instance, the car in behind us is the one we ran in the Daytona 500. It took a little bump on the left front, and with this car here, we can put it back within a thousandth of what it left the shop at. We've got all of our drawings and our blueprints, and we can just come back and put the car exactly like it was before it left.
Richard is not quick to retire a car. Sometimes racing again a 2- or 3-year-old model that seems perfectly suited to a particular track. Dale won the Busch Clash this year in an old Monte Carlo, reskinned as Illumina.
A look at the Childress shop. Here is Dale Earnhardt's car. By the way, Bobby Hutchins, not just an engineer, but a pretty fair modified stock car driver as well. Here's Brock Yates in the Childress pit.
Okay, let's talk to the man, Richard Childress. Richard, we've got you one lap down, but Dale's starting to show some strength now as we approach halfway.
Well, we just got to keep working with the car and try to see what happens.
With a race like this, with this kind of a caution setup that we've got now, can he get that lap back?
Well, right now, Rusty and Kyle's running real well, and we still don't have our car right, so it's going to be tough.
Okay, well, keep working on it. Okay, Glenn?
Well, you know, Brock Yates, for all that preparation and building of the cars that they do back home in the shop, sometimes things dictate that you have to do some stuff here at the racetrack. You can see all these front-end steering components on this board here, Times joints, ball joints, tie rod ends, connectors, and so forth. These things are all here in case somebody has a wreck. They can replace this stuff on the car, getting back out on the racetrack without a great loss of time. As we move up a little bit here, you can see also a front windshield. These guys can change these windshields in about 30 seconds or less. So they've come prepared as well from the shop, and they're prepared to repair the cars on the racetrack too. So they're ready at any time for any given situation.
And you Saturday night short trackers take note, those parts aren't just stacked all in a box. They're arranged with tie wraps on a board where you can find the right part when you need it. Back up front, Rusty Wallace leading Kyle Petty. At lap 225, Kyle was the leader with 5 cars on the lead lap, 8 lead changes to that point. Average speed dropped to 122.5 miles per hour by the 3 caution flags. Now Wallace in front, and Kyle Petty pulling back. Here are the cars out of the race. Andy Hillenberg with an engine going at lap 8. At lap 16, Jimmy Spencer and Terry Labonte collided. Stanley Smith, the Alabama driver, pulled his car in. Bill Beecham from Charlotte lost an engine, and Jeff Bourbon is out of the race as well. 235 laps now on the board. We'll be back to Rockingham right after these messages. Now, come on, you faithful NASCAR fans. You didn't think we were going to let the lead change hands during commercial, did you? Rusty Wallace is still in front. Kyle Petty got underneath him but couldn't deal with it. Ken Schrader is third. Bill Elliott fourth, and Brett Bodine is in the 5th position. Just moments ago, Chad Little slipped underneath Kyle Petty while Kyle was trying to get past the Morgan Shepherd car, and that is Chad Little, you see, lined up right behind leader Rusty Wallace.
I think it's a situation, as we talked earlier, Chad Little probably has stopped the tires recently. He has a lot fresher tires, so it was fairly easy for him to drive by Kyle, and it probably will do the same thing to Rusty Wallace. You see Mark Martin, probably with fresher tires than Kyle Petty, drive around the outside. We've got Brett Bodine, the 5th place car, in the pits now. At lap 240, Brett Bodine makes his 3rd stop of the day, and this is a scheduled stop. Well, Larry McReynolds and crew, they've been fast all day. They're going to put 4 tires on Bodine. He will lose a lap to the leaders as they come past. Rusty Wallace in number 2. In the Pontiac out front, Chad Little hanging right with him. You're watching NASCAR Winston Cup Racing live on TNN, NASCAR's country home. In our inaugural presentation of Winston Cup Racing, hope you're enjoying it. Along for the ride with race leader Rusty Wallace. But Chad Little has now gone past the leader to get back a lap. And here comes Mark Martin, who just passed Kyle Petty moments ago. It looks like he'll do the same thing with Rusty Wallace on the inside.
1.4 seconds is Wallace's advantage over Kyle Petty. 4 laps to halfway. Let's check in with Steve.
You know, just an observation on Rusty Wallace. He has always been a fun driver to watch, a charger, a man who will take chances and risks. But they say as we get older, we get a little wiser. And I think maybe Penske is giving him a little wisdom as well, because Wallace is pacing himself. I think had Petty got around him, he'd let him go a little bit rather than further abuse his tires. Rusty Wallace is driving a very smart race.
Well, he's got a pack of cars right ahead of him. Bobby Hillen there as Rusty moves around. Then Mark Martin dead ahead. Chad Little is now boxed in behind Wallace on the inside of Bobby Hillen. Move over flag being shown to Hillen. There's Chad Little, that white and orange car, number 19. And Hillen in the Rob Morosa Memorial machine, taking over that ride from Sammy Swindell. And he is being shown presently as 2 laps down. Make that 3 as Wallace goes by. 2 laps from halfway. And the leading driver, if it's under green, picks up $10,000.
That may have been why we saw Kyle Petty showing so much muscle before we went to the last commercial, trying to get by Rusty Wallace.
Rick Mast is on pit road at lap 245. Rusty down the backstretch and giving a wave up in his mirror to Chad Little. Little going up high. Wallace is pulling right up on Jeff Bodine. And here comes Rusty down the front straightaway. Ring the cash register, please. Ka-ching, $10,000. So our leader at the halfway lap is Rusty Wallace. He takes home the $10,000 bonus in the right guard halfway challenge. If you called in to register, stay by your phone. If the right guard people call you, you could win the keys to a new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. Rusty Wallace is the name to know. Now they're moving up on Jeff Bodine, who was a lap down in 14th position. Trying to keep from being 2 laps down. Around the Mickey Gibbs car once again. Back straightaway. And into turn 3. Now, how will Brett Bodine react to Chad Little? That's not a car he's used to seeing coming in his mirror at speed.
I think Jeff will realize that Chad Little has fresher tires on him than he does. And, I mean, he's not going more than likely not going to just move over, but Chad Little looks like he has so much better tires that it's going to be a matter of just driving up the side, Jeff, and then Jeff sees him there, sees that he's there, and he's just got to let him go. That's all.
And that's exactly what happens as they roll off into the corner. That is not for position. Little is a lap further down to the race leader than Bodine. Here's Dale Earnhardt and Sterling Marlin. This is for position. This will be back at about 7th place. Bobby Hillen on pit road in the Moroso machine. Earnhardt and Sterling Marlin for 7th place. And Sterling has had quite a start to the season. He's 3rd in the Winston Cup points with a top 5 and a top 10 finish. Daytona and Richmond, respectively.
Just had a terrific race at Daytona. Finished 2nd. He was running about 4th or 5th on the last lap with 3 laps to go, and ended up 2nd. We've got Jeff Bodine now in the pits, so you can tell that his tires were well worn. It's time for his pit stop.
Morgan Shepherd as well. This is the first time today that the 2 Junior Johnson cars have not stopped on the same lap. Pete Wright has the car in the air as Tim Brewer chasing the right front. There goes Wright around the front of the car. Now Mike Hill comes around back from the right rear to help out on the left rear tire. Henry Benfield wheels that tire away. He's all finished gassing the car. And old Precious, Buck Green, long gone with a catch can. Tim Brewer gives the driver a wave, and away Jeff goes back into the fray. Time, 24.1 seconds. Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett there. Going back and forth. Dale Jarrett shown as more than 2 laps down. Check that, as 1 lap down, now 2 to the race leader, Wallace. Jarrett 10th in the Winston Cup points coming in here with 1 top 10 finish. 7th place, once again, at stake. This time it's Mike Waltrip nestled up against the back bumper of Sterling Marlin. And with Bodine just in, we'll expect Marlin on pit road soon.
Say, Mike, when these cars are out there for 80 or 80-some-odd laps on these tires, it looks like they just stop in the middle of the corner. Mike Waltrip gets underneath Sterling Marlin, got right up against him in the middle of the corner, got Sterling a little bit loose, drove up underneath him, brought Mark Martin along with him in the 6th car.
As that happens, Dale Jarrett's on pit road. Here's Glenn.
We're in Dale Jarrett's pits. He has come in for his regular scheduled pit stop now. In the 4-tire change, this is the Wood Brothers pit crew. They wrote the book on how to do this fast and efficiently. Good pit stop going so far. The car is now down and away. That's a very good pit stop. That'll make up some time on the racetrack.
So Dale Jarrett, who just went 2 laps down to the leader, now heads back into action as we continue under green. Rock Yates.
Okay. Mike, I'm in with Waddell Wilson, who doesn't want to talk right now because they're going to bring in Ricky Rudd and lap 261 just a couple away from now. So their concentration levels are pretty high. But let's keep in mind that the Rick Hendricks team now has two teams in the top 5. So Ricky is showing some strength now. Mike?
Here's the other Junior Johnson car on pit road, Sterling Marlin. This is the Mike Beam-led team. He'll get 4 tires as well. Big chassis adjustment there for Sterling.
Looks like everybody's taking wedge out of the car, though. The sun popped out here a few moments ago, Mike, so that could change the characteristics of some of these cars.
26.5 seconds for Sterling Marlin. Rick Wilson hitting the Stavola brothers car at lap 256. This is the 3rd green flag pit stop of the day for these cars. Now, Rusty Wallace was last in at 177, and we'll expect to see him within the next 5 laps.
Kyle Petty also. Kyle, I think, came in on lap 174, so I'd say at any moment now we'll see Kyle and both Rusty Wallace coming to pits.
Now, one car we've not been keeping track of is old snooker Dave Marcus. The fellow likes to hang out and lead a lap. He went nearly 100 laps before he made his first pit stop. We'll try and double check and see if he is going to be the one car here that tries to make this race on just 4 pit stops. I don't think anyone else can do it from what we've seen thus far.
No, I'm not sure, Mike, since Dave Marcus is pitting on the backstretch. He may have pitted on one of those early caution flags and got fuel only, says why he went so long.
We'll try to double check on Marcus. He's presently showing 7 laps, so that strategy won't win him this race. He's 7 laps down. They had one long pit stop after he was involved in that spin with Harry Gant and Richard Petty. 258 laps. We're in a green flag run of pit stops here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Mike Waltrip peels off down pit road in the Bahari racing car here at lap 259. His 3rd scheduled stop of the day. And Kyle Petty, you saw battling there with Hut Strickland.
You know, Mike, we can almost watch the race and tell when somebody's getting ready to pit. You know, we watched Sterling Marlin a few laps ago. Michael Waltrip and Mark Martin drove by him in the corner. Then boom, he comes in the pits. Michael Waltrip. There's Michael Waltrip. Go to him, Jared.
In Michael Waltrip's pit, there's a little problem now, and they let the car down a little late, cost them about 5 or 10 extra seconds now to Brock Yates.
Okay, Mike. We're in the Ricky Rudd pit. Waddell Wilson all set to go. He's got the sign in his hand. Waddell is very intent right now. These guys sitting up here in the 5th spot. So here comes Ricky. He should be coming down pit lane at any moment now. The sign is out on that number 5 automobile. Okay.
Here comes Kyle Petty down the pit lane. And Brock, he'll be right behind you as Kyle Petty, the 2nd place car, comes in for his stop.
Hey, there you can see Kyle Petty still going to work it. Once again, there is no chassis adjustment in that race car. That Pontiac still continues to handle almost flawlessly as fuel goes on. Once again, as standard procedure, all 4 tires being changed. Stopwatch running, closing in on 18, 19 seconds. A good stop, apparently. Yeah, underway, 22 seconds. Good stop for Kyle Petty. Okay, Glenn, take it away.
We're in Bill Elliott's pit right now. They're awaiting Elliott to come down pit road at any time. They're not quite ready yet. Let's go back topside. We'll holler when he comes down.
You saw service completed on the Ricky Rudd car. Gary Smith getting that 2nd can of gas in and Rudd pulling away. Dale Earnhardt also came in on that lap, 261, 24.3-second stop. And here's Davey Allison in the pit lane at lap 263. Smokes him a bit coming in. And the Robert Yates led crew will put tires on Davey's car. Darrell Waltrip is also in. You see that windshield being cleaned as it's begun to oil up just a bit. And here's Rusty Wallace, the race leader, is on pit road. Steve Evans is there.
Rusty Wallace is in the pit, and his crew is attacking this car. The men changing tires all have knee pads on. They do it without them. Again, a clean windshield, fuel. This will be a 4-tire change as well. All of the crewmen wearing headsets. They can communicate not with each other, but with Jimmy Makar, their boss. This is another brilliant stop on the part of Wallace, who also, as we've seen, is driving a brilliant race. Wallace is away. Brock Yates.
Okay. Mike, this is the Kenny Trader stop. Quick stop. Nope. Again, no chassis changes for Kenny. We were told Richard Broom is saying that they still a little bit loose, but Kenny gets underway. Good stop. Back to you.
Glenn Jarrett.
Okay, Bill Elliott is now coming down pit road. The gas man's got the gas up and stand up on pit wall. I'll guarantee you that you won't see any mistakes like you saw the last time. Ernie Elliott is telling the guy he's going to put in 1 round of bite in the car. As we said earlier, Ernie had that thing filed down. He said he would not make that mistake again. He laughed about it then. Earlier on, it wasn't so funny. Here's Bill Elliott right now. Let's watch him go to work.
On the right side, Dan Elliott, Russ Bales changing tires. Dan is changing the right front. He will change tires at Atlanta, and then that's it. He says that's his last race working pit road. You see Dan coming around to the left front to complete that change. Tommy Cole has the car in the air. There's the big chassis adjustment over on the right side of the car for Bill Elliott, and he's away. Good stop.
Ernie said it wouldn't happen again. That's because he was doing it himself. Here's your leader, Kyle Petty.
Kyle Petty out in front at lap 267 of 492 in the Goodwrench 500. We'll be back. TNN Motorsports presentation of the Goodwrench 500 is brought to you in part by the more than 550 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the right parts at the right price. Rain clouds moving back into the North Carolina Motor Speedway area. At Rockingham in the Sand Hills as Kyle Petty leads Rusty Wallace, Ken Schrader, Ernie Irvin behind Harry Gant there in 4th spot. Bill Elliott is 6th after his pit stop. Then Brett Bodine, Ricky Rudd, Dale Jarrett, and Jeff Bodine. From 1st to 2nd, 1.9 seconds. From Kyle Petty back to Rusty Wallace. Now the spotters, each team has a radio spotter up on top of the roof. And they see those storm clouds, which NASCAR says are approaching. And may cut this one short before the 492 lap mark. 11 o'clock, I didn't think we'd get 1 lap in, even if you had a boat for a pace car.
I'll tell you, Mike, you would think that the crew chiefs are telling these guys, hey, go. There's rain coming. Go as hard as you can. But these guys have been going as hard as they can since lap 1, so it doesn't make any difference.
I guess 15, 20 years ago, you had a lull in each Winston Cup race where the cars would run single file and everybody would kind of let things sort out, and you could coast, and the lap times would drop back a bit. Not anymore. Look at how hard Kyle Petty is running the Mike Waltrip car to try to get him a lap down and move on past. He's running him like it's the last lap of the race.
I think what he's trying to do is get ahead of those cars and get them between him and Rusty Wallace.
Mike Waltrip is the 13th place car in number 30. Jeff Bodine right there, too, in number 11. Brock Yates.
Well, Mike, I'm down here with Donnie Robinson and in the Kyle Petty pit, and there is some concern here, though, although, as I said earlier, the crew chief, Gary Nelson, is up acting as a spotter today. He has not yet called down the warning of rain. So you have not heard about any of this rain problem, Donnie?
I didn't hear you, Brock.
You haven't heard anything about this rain problem? Gary hasn't said anything about it?
Not yet. I mean, nobody said nothing, so right now we're just going to run as hard as we can, because, I mean, you see the sky's getting darker, we'll just have to hope for the best.
Okay. There's not much else going, right, Steve?
This is Tony Glover, the crew chief for Ernie Irvin. And, Tony, you don't need to be Willard Scott to tell there's some rain in the area. Any strategy, anything you can change to try to get that car to the front if it does come down?
No, we're just trying to wait till we can make the rest of the race on one more pit stop. We've kind of gotten out of sync trying to keep fresh tires on the car, and we're going to have to run about 20 more laps, and then we're going to pit.
All right, thank you. Anytime you get out of sync on one of these races, well, you're in trouble. But these guys have done a wonderful job of bringing that car back up to 5th.
Brock, I think what Phil Parsons said is exactly right. They're all running so hard that you just can't run any harder.
Their tongues are hanging out now, Mike.
277 laps are up. If the race were to stop and be unable to be restarted today, it would be a complete event since we've passed the halfway point. There's Dale Earnhardt. This time he's got the trailer hitch hooked onto the back of Ernie Irvin.
Not for long, it looks like. Dale Earnhardt, Dale Jarrett both look like they'll be able to move by the 4 car.
Irvin pitted at lap 225, some 50 laps to go, so he'll need to be in soon. And don't know whether he can make it on one more stop.
I don't think he can. If he pits in 20 more laps, that'll be about the 300 lap mark. Then you can go roughly another 90 laps. That would be 390, so he's got to make at least 2 more pit stops.
Irvin is the 6th, showing him now in 9th place in the running order. But he's been well up in the top 10 most of the day. You see a couple of crew members there in the shot putting jackets on. It's getting a little cooler and windier in the pits. Here's Glenn.
Well, we're back inside the NASCAR trailer looking at the weather situation now. And, Bruce, what point us out there. Show us where we got some weather coming from. We can see it looks like it's coming from the east now. You can see he's pointing across there. We're still in a little bit of a hole, but there definitely is weather coming around us. So these guys are going to have to set some strategy concerning what they're going to do with this weather. It won't be long before the raindrops will be falling.
Here's Steve.
You're absolutely right, Glenn. The weather is coming out of the east. That's the way the wind is coming. That flag throughout this race has hugged the pole. It's not right now. Jimmy Nakar, they're saying there's some weather coming in here, buddy.
Yeah, I know. We've heard about it. We're trying to hustle up and catch Kyle right now. Try and meet him before this weather gets here.
Thanks a lot. Okay, Mike.
Harry Gann is on pit road at lap 280. They've been stopping every 70 laps. Here's Brock Yates.
Well, Steve, I'm in the same situation as far as Richard Broome is concerned with Kenny Schrader. Richard, as he said, you're probably aware that we got a front coming back in on us, and this threat of rain increases by the minute. Any other choice except to run as hard as you can?
Well, I'm not really sure what your question was, but I think the car is, the car's coming around. I think we're going to be here in good shape before it's over with.
Well, you can't put rain tires on, so you just got to run as hard as long as it's dry, right?
Well, that's kind of what we're thinking. In other words, we're looking at the window, and I know the rain's coming, so maybe the good Lord will be with us, and we might pull one out here.
You wouldn't dare jump in and put on a fresh set of rubber just a sprint before the rain comes down, would you, or would that not pay off for you?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know what to say to that question.
Okay, big gamble coming up here for everybody, Mike.
And for Kyle Petty, a big black Pontiac coming up in his rearview mirror as Rusty Wallace closes in on the leader. We'll be back with more of the Goodwrench 500 live on TNN after this. While we were away, Ernie Irvin made a pit stop, a scheduled one, and Rusty more of the Goodwrench 500 live on TNN after this. While we were away, Ernie Irvin made a pit stop, a scheduled one, and Rusty Wallace, the man you're riding with now, has been attacking the field like Buckaroo Banzai. He put a move on Sterling Marlin, and Dave Marcus went right to the bottom of the racetrack to get it. Let's look at the leaderboard. Kyle Petty and Rusty Wallace now just a few car lengths apart. Kenny Schrader in third, Bill Elliott fourth. Brett Bodine, great run for Brett today, in the fifth position. Here's Sterling Marlin slowing down up in turns 3 and 4. Now, this would be a bit early for a scheduled stop. He was in at lap 255 just some 40 laps ago.
I would think more than likely it's an engine problem, the way he shut it off over there, Mike. He's obviously not out of fuel.
Marlin was coasting there through 1 and 2, and will try to make it around to pit road. And the Mike Dean team. Rusty Wallace, that's Rick Wilson he's working against. One of the lap cars, Mr. Vola Buick. That's all that separates him from race leader Kyle Petty. Mike Beam comes over the wall and under the hood.
But not in too big a hurry, Mike, so I would think that the engine is probably shut off, and they're just going to look and see maybe if they could do something quick. But, you know, they look for maybe the coil wire fell out, but more than likely it's something more serious than that.
Well, maybe the coffee's ready. 290 laps. 492. 202 laps to go. Still a lot of racing left to go here today at the Rock.
Weather permitting.
Rusty Wallace. You're inside his Penske Pontiac. And Kyle Petty, the black and green car. Right behind Dale Earnhardt, number 3, is the race leader. They have pushed Marlin's car to the garage, where he will join Hillenberg, Labonte, and Spencer, along with Stanley Smith, Bill Meacham, and Jeff Purvis, as the cars out of the race. The last time that Pontiacs finished 1 and 2 was in Michigan in 1989. Rusty Wallace was the race winner. There's Brett Bodine, the 5th place car, having a great run for drag racer Kenny Bernstein in this Buick, and Rick Mast about to pull around as Bodine comes on pit road to Steve Evans.
All right, and here comes the number 26 Buick of Brett Bodine. You know, as far as that rain situation is concerned, this kind of catches these guys at a bad time. They were 5th on the racetrack. Obviously, with the green flag stop, they're going to fall a number of places back. They've got to pray it doesn't rain, and they can run this thing to the finish. Again, no chassis adjustments. Not quite surprised how fuel he is speed, but as usual, a quart set of tires and a full fuel cell, and out goes Brett Bodine doing a burnout like his boss.
Steve Bodine may be pulling the strategy that Brock Yates inquired of Richard Broome about the Schrader car. It's only been some 50 laps since Brett Bodine was on pit road, 53 to be exact. So they put on fresh tires, try to do some chasing down before the rains might come. But it's a very short run on a tank of gas for him.
It sure is. He may figure that this race only has 80 or 90 laps to go. Figured he's going to have to make another pit stop anyway, so he might as well do it early. Let's go down the pits to Glenn Jarrett.
Standing by with Sterling Marlin, driver of car number 22. Sterling had a pretty good run going there. What happened?
Looks like we broke something in the motor. Didn't give no warning. Just blowed up for going in one there. Wasn't no oil enough, so they didn't know the cost. Still called Max House Ford run good, but got behind on early pit stop. Which is probably top 5 car.
What about the racetrack conditions right now? What was your tire wear like?
Car felt good to me. It's touch on the loose side. And, you know, the tire wear seemed to be picking up better as we went along, so we're just hanging there, waiting for them.
The tough break for Marlin is he was third in the Winston Cup point standings going into this race, and now he will drop well back into the top 10. Mark Martin makes the pit stop, scheduled one. He went 67 laps on that last tank and set of tires. Here's Dale Earnhardt up against Kyle Petty, and that allows Wallace to get a little closer. Kyle Petty puts Dale Earnhardt another lap down. Will that put Dale Earnhardt 2 laps down now? We'll double check that with scoring. He should be, I believe, 2 laps down. Correct. And Rusty Wallace not finding an easy time getting past Earnhardt. And Harry Gant is right there to mix it up. Alan Kulwicki on pit road at lap 297. And Kulwicki went 65 laps on this last set of tires.
So Harry again has relatively fresh tires. He pitted on lap 280, so his tires only have about 20 laps on them. So he should be able to dispatch Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt and go on up to try to catch Kyle Petty to get another one of his lap stops.
Rusty Wallace continuing to work around the outside of Earnhardt, and with a wave drops it down and goes past. So Wallace resumes his pursuit of leader Kyle Petty. We'll be back with more of the Goodwrench 500 after these messages. TNN Motorsports presentation of the Goodwrench 500 is brought to you in part by Budweiser, the king of beers with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats the Bud. Jeff Bodine in the Junior Johnson Ford, running along right, hovering on the edge of the top 10. With just some 190 laps to go here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in the 3rd Winston Cup race of the season. Let's check in with Steve Evans.
Look who I found wandering around the pit. For 26 years, Harold Kinder was the chief NASCAR starter in retirement, they tell me, but he's got a headset on so he can monitor all the action. What do you think of this rain deal? What would be your strategy if you were a racer?
Well, Steve, I think if anybody's guessed at this time, at this stage, you know, that's part of the race when the guys really show their stuff. So it's a lot of good racing left yet. I think we're going to be inside for a good finish here.
How's retirement? Can you stay in retirement? How's retirement, buddy?
Well, somebody asked me what was I doing standing here at the start and finish line. I think I spent more time here at this line than any time during a race. I feel comfortable here.
Catch a lot of fish for me, will you?
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Brock.
Well, Steve, down here in Kyle Petty's pit, it looks more like a tire test. These guys are just laid back, relaxed, nothing going on, as you can see. They've got a pit stop coming up around lap 350. That's their next scheduled stop. They are totally under control. They've been that way all day long. Everything has gone exactly the way they planned, presuming it'll go that way the rest of the way. They're not concerned about the rain. They're not going to change their strategy. They're just going to keep chugging along as they've done all day. Oh, how are things going down at your end of the pit, Glenn?
Well, you might be wondering why I'm standing here with my arm around this pretty young lady. I can do that. She's my sister. This is Patty Makar. She'll always be Patty Jarrett to me, but she's married to Jimmy Makar, who is the crew chief for Rusty Wallace. She is the publicity director for Rick Maston, car number 1, and she's the brother of Dale Jarrett. Who do you pull for?
The way I'm trying to look at it is I have 3 chances to go to victory.
Well, she's covering her bases there. She got 3 choices to go to victory lane. I've interviewed everybody else in the family today. I'll find my father and get him next. Mike?
Welcome back to the Nepotism 500. We got Parsons and Jarrett's at every network. My brother's a banker. I'm going to have to get him into this business. 308 laps complete. Kyle Petty up front. Rusty Wallace in second. Ken Schrader is third. Fourth is Bill Elliott. They're on the lead lap. 1 lap back. Ricky Rudd is fifth. 6th is Harry Gant. 7th is Dale Earnhardt. 8th is Mike Waltrip. 9th is Dale Jarrett, and 10th is Jeff Bodine. 11th is Ernie Irvin, 12th Morgan Shepherd, 13th is Brett Bodine, 14th is Darrell Waltrip. Bobby Hillen's riding 15th right now. 16th, Davey Allison. Richard Petty's back in 17th after that spin. Rick Wilson is 18th, Mark Martin is 19th, and Mickey Gibbs is 20th.
I'll tell you, Mike, one interesting thing about Kyle Petty's car, you know, the way he dominated last year, won almost $300,000. You would think that they would save that car for Rockingham. That car raced 12 times last year. It was almost destroyed at Bristol in the night race. It knocked the front and the rear clip off the car. They fixed it, came back, dominated Rockingham again in October, and then come back here, Rockingham, and are dominating again.
Kyle Petty with quite a car for this racetrack. Same car he won with here last year, but boy, has it been bent and battered around ever since.
In that Goodyear has over 2,000 racing radials here at Rockingham, you might think, well, they probably brought a lot of unused tires down from Richmond. That is not the case. Phil Homer of Goodyear, each track demands its own tire designed specifically for it.
That's correct. The tires we brought here from Rockingham are made especially for Rockingham, and this is the only place that we run them.
Now that you know, under the new pit rules, that guys are going to go out and run far more miles on a set of tires, have you changed the engineering on that tire at all?
Not really. Our design to begin with is to make tires that'll run more than a pit stop, sometimes 2 pit stops. We try to get that safety factor in there so that people wouldn't have to worry about it.
Now, what happens to the tires you don't mount here this weekend?
Oh, we'll save them for the fall and run them in October here at Rockingham.
See you then.
Right.
Phil Homer there with Goodyear as we watch Kyle Petty and Rusty Wallace. That's the separation, first to second. 4 cars on the lead lap. At lap 313. We ride along with Rusty Wallace. Facing race leader Kyle Petty. Ken Schrader in third. Bill Elliott and Brett Bodine in the top 5. Then it's Harry Gant, Earnhardt, Waltrip, Jarrett, and Ernie Irvin. Cars out of the race, the attrition has most recently sent Sterling Marlin to the garage. Jeff Purvis, Bill Meekum, and Stanley Smith out early. And within the first 20 laps of the race, Andy Hillenberg, Terry Labonte, and Jimmy Spencer. And Marlin, the most recent retiree. Bobby Hillen making a stop. There's Chad Little. He's the 21st place car. About to be overhauled by Kyle Petty. Now, Little went steaming by the leaders about 15 laps ago, but now his tires have some laps on them, and Kyle comes chasing right back. First to second, 1.04 seconds as Rusty Wallace moves under a lap car.
I'll tell you, Mike, it's been a lot closer race than I really anticipated the way Kyle took off to start with.
Here's Bill Elliott making progress, running up against Ricky Rudd and moving past Jeff Bodine. Elliott, despite a minor miscue on pit road that cost them a stop-and-go penalty to remove the ratchet with his left hooked up to the right rear jacking bolt. They have had a very strong run today and very encouraging run for Elliott this season. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
We're standing by here with one of the legends in stock car racing. This is Harry Hyde. Harry, you got yourself another young runner out there doing a pretty good job today.
Well, we're going tight and going loose, and we don't know what the problem is. We've tried a little bit of everything, so I don't know whether it's the tires or the track, but our car seems to run good for too tight, and then it'll loosen up. And we've just been fighting it all day, so maybe it'll come around, but the race is going to be over, I think.
Okay, now the broadcast.
Okay, I'm with Andy Petrie and Harry Gant's crew. Andy, it's not exactly been an ideal run for you guys. A big spin and all kinds of trouble, but still, you're only 1 lap down and you're sitting in 6th place.
Yeah, that little steely after Christmas didn't help anything. We got us behind a little bit, but we're going to kick and scratch our way back, try to get our lap by.
Some guys are talking about some threat of rain, but the problem doesn't seem to be apparent right now, so you're not going to change your strategy.
We can't predict the weather. We're just going to race hard as we can.
Okay, take it away, Steve.
All right, let's get a status report from Waddell Wilson. Waddell, fuel, tires, Ricky, where are we?
Well, right now we're going to next stop change 4, and then after that we can
could make it if we change 2. Right now, I'm just deciding whether to go with 4 or 2, though. I don't know. I've got to talk to Ricky and see what he decides.
Well, you can feel that sunshine on the back of your neck. It looks like we got it.
Well, I couldn't believe this morning that it was going to turn around and be able to get the race in, but thank God it did.
Let you go back to work.
Thank you.
I don't think anybody did. In fact, 25 minutes to race time, there weren't any tires lined up behind the pit wall, and nobody was ready to go racing. But there's Ricky Rudd soldiering along in 5th spot, 1 lap back. TNN's live coverage of the Goodwrench 500 continues after this. Back live at the Goodwrench 500, riding along with Rusty Wallace in 2nd place as he chases down Kyle Petty. Both driving Pontiac Grand Prix, and there's a new Grand Prix that you'll see soon whizzing around the streets of Mount Airy, North Carolina. It'll be driven by Carolyn Irby, who's today's winner in the Right Guard Halfway Challenge sweepstakes. She correctly named Rusty Wallace as the leader of the halfway lap and won the Pontiac from Right Guard. Entries are now being accepted for the next race. You can call 1-900-420-2222 if you're 18 or over, and that call costs 95 cents. Or you may send your name and telephone number to the Right Guard Halfway Challenge, Box 9, Hackensack, New Jersey, to enter for the next race in Atlanta 2 weeks from now. So Rusty led the halfway lap, but right now it's Kyle Petty out front. Derek Cope has returned to the race. Cope Chevrolet went to the garage area with a fire in the engine compartment. They've made repairs. Buddy Parrott, the Bob Whitcomb crew, and Derek Cope is back out to pile up some Winston Cup points. Brock Yates.
I'm in with Richard Childress, who has had a tough weekend. Richard, yesterday you kind of missed the setup, and today you just can't seem to get a handle on that race car. You're 2 laps down, and you're still in the top 10. But I know you got to be disappointed.
Yeah, we don't never like to run like this, but it's something you just come back and work harder. We ain't give up on today. You just got to keep digging.
Did you come down here with a setup in mind? It just didn't work, or was it something that is one of those weekends?
Well, we tried some different stuff, and it don't seem to be working. We didn't run that good here last time, so we tried something different. It looks like it worked either.
Not a good day. Sorry, Richard. Okay, let's go to Steve.
Things are very quiet in the Rusty Wallace pit area. They're just kind of on cruise control right now. But it's ironic. Rusty's driving a Pontiac, was the leader in halfway, and Carolyn Irby with herself a Pontiac. But Carolyn, I want you to know, you get a lot better car than Rusty's driving. You'll have lights, you can go around at night, the windows roll up, no problem, you can throw on a radiator. Enjoy it.
And air conditioning and cruise control and maybe a little nicer interior than the one Rusty's got. At least you can seat more people in the car. Yeah, Carolyn went. Yeah, Rusty's only seats 1. But he's got just as big a gas tank, maybe bigger. Dale Earnhardt, the last won this race in 1987, and last year in the 2 Rockingham events finished no better than 10th. It's not been his best racetrack.
I think really, Mike, this is probably Dale Earnhardt's worst racetrack. We saw in the feature earlier Bobby Hutchins, his engineer, talking about they're trying something new. It's their latest design that they've been working 6 months on, and that's here at Rockingham. But I say they'll probably take it back, and it'll be back on the drawing board for some more work. The man who's in a position to take over the Winston Cup point lead is Ricky Rudd, who came in here in 2nd place, 22 points behind Earnhardt. Rudd is currently running in the 5th position. So Earnhardt is 7th, and if they finish just the way they're running now, Dale would retain the point lead. I'll tell you, Mike, there's a lot at stake out here for both Kyle Petty and Rusty Wallace. Kyle Petty, by virtue of winning the pole, has a chance of winning a bonus of around $70,000 from Unocal. Rusty Wallace, on the other hand, if he could win the race, right now he could get on winner's circle that's worth about $250,000 over the course of the year. Right now he's not on any kind of a car owner's plan because it's a brand new team. If he can win the race, then he'll be eligible for winner's circle, and that'll be almost $250,000.
Wallace, with a new team and a new car number, did not pick up where the Raymond Beetle team left off last year. You're watching Ricky Rudd, who is in the 5th position, just a lap behind race leader Kyle Petty. 333 laps complete in the Goodwrench 500. At the Goodwrench 500, you see those high clouds back up above the North Carolina Motor Speedway. They are dense, but they are higher than the rain clouds we had here early this morning. So the weather's still in question, as both Dale Jarrett and Morgan Shepherd have made pit stops under this run of green flag racing. And, well, like one crew chief said, you can't predict the weather, so you just run as hard as you can. Kyle Petty up front. Rusty Wallace in second, Ken Schrader third, Bill Elliott is fourth, and a lap down Ricky Rudd. He is the fifth-place car. Back in sixth, Harry Gant, Earnhardt, Mike Waltrip, Irvin, and Brett Bodine. Rounding out the top 10, one lap down.
You know, Mike, they talk about Fred Lorenzen, one of the old all-time greats, used to call the weather service, and he always knew when it was going to rain, so he was smart enough and cagey enough to be in the lead when that happened. Well, I'm not sure how Fred Lorenzen ever knew, because I've never seen a meteorologist on TV that knew exactly what the weather was going to do.
Great job when you can be wrong more than half the time and still show up to work on Monday morning. Davey Allison is in the pits as you watch leader Kyle Petty at lap 340. Of the 340 laps today, Kyle Petty has led 275 of them. That's domination. That is impressive. For Davey Allison, his fourth stop of the day, a scheduled one for 4 tires. Down goes the jack. No mistaking that as a signal. Actually, I think it's the fifth, because didn't he have to make a pit stop to take the ratchet out? You're right. I wasn't counting the penalty. Here's Kenny Schrader, third-place car. Schrader's had a good, strong run here today for Richard Groom and team. And it'll be his fourth stop of the day at lap 341. Richard Groom's crew working there. Gas can handoff. Brock Yates is there.
Well, we got a good routine quick pit stop here by Kenny Schrader. A little problem, though, with the left rear. If it goes on here now, it goes into place. Kenny Schrader will be back underway again with fresh rubber, presumably for one more sprint, with tires becoming more and more a factor in this racetrack.
Good stop for Schrader, though it won't cost him a whole lot of track time. He'll lose a lap to the race leaders, though, as is the norm under green flag finish. Ted Musgrave, the rookie, out there running, getting some valuable track time here as he battles Kyle Petty in car 55. Musgrave.
Musgrave's driving the DK Ulrich car. It was formerly driven by last year by Rick Mast, and used to be car number 2. People realize are familiar with it being car number 2, but Rusty Wallace and Roger Penske wanted car number 2 for their car, so they bought the number DK Ulrich. Consequently, now he's now car number 55.
Now here's Wallace coming up. He'll have to deal not only with Musgrave, but with Hut Strickland's car to have a chance at the leader. The car directly ahead of Rusty Wallace, as you look out his windshield, will be Ted Musgrave. Now you notice, if you've been listening to Rusty's engine, they're down that back straightaway. They're into the throttle later in turn 2 than they are in turn 4. Listen for him to pick it back up. Right back in the throttle full. That's because turn 4 widens out into that V-shaped trioval. And as he was on it there, Kenny Schrader went past. Schrader a lap down, but on fresh tires, scoots away.
Obviously, Kenny Schrader was on the throttle a little bit before.
Yeah. And fresh tires, you can do that.
I said, there's not a greater feeling in the world, Mike, than having fresh tires. I mean, you go out there, you can be the 20th best car there. You go out there, you can drive by the leader like he's tied to a post.
Mickey Gibbs just did that to leader Kyle Petty. Here's Brock Yates.
Well, Mike, as you can see, they're all set for Kyle Petty to come in and make what is probably going to be a second to last pit stop here. The crew obviously prepared. The pit board standing out. He'll be in a second.
Kyle Petty whistles down the back straightaway and into turn number 3. And that's Felix Sabates' machine. Here's Steve Evans.
It's interesting down there in Rusty Wallace's pit. As soon as the crew was alerted that a stop was imminent, they started doing stretching exercises, psyching themselves up. The car expected in its pad any second now. They are going to take on 4 tires. All right, let's go down the road. Apparently the 5 car is coming in, right?
That's the Waddell Wilson-led team for Ricky Rudd. Donnie Disharoon coming on around to get those tires around the left side as Gary Smith finishes gassing. And now Kyle Petty is on pit road, the race leader and the man who has led most of this race, and Rusty Wallace is coming right in with him. Here's Brock.
Okay, Kyle Petty reaches into stop here as the crew charges over the wall and at work here in this beautifully choreographed confusion that is a NASCAR Winston Cup pit stop. Okay, right side tires done. Back around onto the left side. Again, no chassis adjustments. This car has behaved flawlessly all day long. As the clock begins to tick, it's a little slower than normal. We're at 22 seconds down. There it is, 70 for that stop, a little bit slower than the last time, but there goes Rusty by us as well, so he beats him back out of the pit.
So Kyle Petty and Rusty Wallace sitting at lap 347, and both are back on the speedway. Bill Elliott and Darrell Waltrip are now back in for their scheduled stops. Quick stop for the Elliott boys at lap 348. Waltrip also there at 348. Here's Steve.
The tire mark and Rusty Wallace is fit. The tire mark and Rusty Wallace is fit. He brought that thing in here like a winged sprint car. Looked like Steve Kinser. We were at the back of the car, and it was hard to tell if maybe possibly he didn't cross that front line. But no NASCAR official responded. There was one in the pit. So apparently it was all right. But I'll tell you what, it was close to a 15-second penalty.
Well, and also, Steve, his pit is right across from the NASCAR control tower. They had a good look right down that front line, and it is their call whether or not the car is over it. That one wasn't. Now, here's where Harry Gant's pit stop strategy gets a little off kilter with everybody else. Is he now still one stop behind?
I think he has made an extra pit stop, but now he's in the same sync with everybody. Everyone on the racetrack, unless we get rain, will have to make one more pit stop.
That is the 5th stop for Harry Gant today. A little damage to the right rear from that altercation with Richard Petty that brought out the caution flag well before halfway back at lap 159. That was the 3rd caution of the day. We've only had 3. So Kyle Petty is back in front as now Dale Earnhardt and Derek Colt make pit stops at lap 351. Watching Wallace, and here is the Goodwrench crew going to work. Brock Yates.
Okay, we're down here with Dale Earnhardt as they struggle to get that race car back into shape. I can't see at this point a mob scene around the car, but I don't think that Richard Childress has made a chassis change on this one. So apparently they're going to live with what they've got and just keep struggling onward with a car that's misbehaved for them all afternoon.
I saw Bobby Moody, Brock, walking away from the catch can, kind of shaking his head no. I wonder if they got all the gas in there they wanted.
It was difficult to tell from here. As I said earlier, Mike, there is a mob scene around Dale's crew. Of course, there always is. He's one of the biggest names in this business. But
here's Glenn. Check that. Here's Ernie Irvin back on pit road once again. Robert Larkins and Clint Ballard changing those right side tires for Tony Glover's crew. Pete Lester carried the tires into position, and that's Jerry McClure, one of the car owners, on the jack, hustling it around to the left side. So while Tim Morgan was fueling that car in Daytona, that's Jerry Puckett's job usually with Wayne Tolson. Here's Brock.
Well, my friend's still in the Kyle Petty pit. That was a thrilling moment. It was almost like the old caution flag days when the two leaders charged into the pit, raced each other in the pit stops, and were back out almost in the same sequence. Pretty neat moment.
Here's Glenn.
Early after a lot of early race confusion there in the pits, which is not normal for this pit crew, things have pretty much smoothed out, and the last 2 pit stops have been pretty much routine.
Yeah, there's things pretty well fine. You know, we just messed up on the early stop.
Well, I noticed that the last time there was not a chassis adjustment made, so the car must be pretty much to Bill's liking.
Yeah, the car is pretty close right now, but, you know, we're just kind of, you know, we need a caution flag to get caught up. You know, otherwise, we're not going to be able to get Kyle. You know, we're running as good as he is, but we just, you know, we just got to get caught up.
You think you could handle him if you got that caution and close the gap?
We'll just have to wait and see.
That's a famous Elliott line. We'll just have to wait and see, and that's the way they play it. They do the best they can and see how things play out on the racetrack. Kyle Petty has a rear-view mirror rapidly filling up with Rusty Wallace.
Right now he has his daddy in his rearview mirror. Maybe his daddy will hold up Rusty Wallace.
And there for 5th place, Harry Gant has gone past Ricky Rudd. Gant changing pit stop sequence there, and he is on a bit fresher tires than Ricky. It goes on by, and we're told that is for 5th position. Let's update you on the weather. There is that big low-pressure system off the eastern coast, and it sent weather back at us. Fortunately, that opened up a hole in the clouds, and we got some sunshine, and we're able to get this race running. But now the flags are blowing from north-south and from west to east in the opposite direction. Still a bit of blue sky in the clouds, but otherwise it is generally darkening up, and the wind continues to really whistle down pit road. So we will try to stay green just as long as we can and flag right out straight in the wind here today at Rockingham. trying to get this one to run all the way to conclusion, 492 laps. You're riding with Rusty Wallace as he tracks down Kyle Petty on TNN's exclusive live coverage of the Goodwrench 500. At the Goodwrench 500, 365 laps complete. Alan Kulwicki comes on pit road. So does Mark Martin as we watch from Darrell Waltrip's car. This is for position. Waltrip and Morgan Shepherd for 13th place. 3 laps back of the race leader. Brett Bodine now also in the pit lane at lap 365. And that's the pit stop for young Bodine. Here's Darrell trying to move alongside the 15 to Morgan Shepherd. They are battling for 13th. And now we're up with Davey Allison. Allison just a bit further back, but on the same lap. Stretching that right arm just a bit. And we'll go up front. There's a look in Davey Allison's car because Rusty Wallace has caught Kyle Petty. 3 wide. They squeeze it down the front straightaway as Ricky Rudd tries to get a lap back. Rudd right behind the leaders. Unsuccessful in that bid.
I'll tell you, when we went away to that commercial break, there was about a second differential, and as you can see, Rusty Wallace has closed that up. He's right on Kyle Petty's bumper. I'd say Rusty wants to get in the lead if he can.
So Wallace right behind Kyle Petty as the two Pontiacs battle for first. In third, Kenny Schrader with a Chevrolet. Bill Elliott Ford is fourth, and Harry Gant Chevrolet is fifth. Ricky Rudd there in 6th position. Brett Bodine was 7th, just made a pit stop. Dale Jarrett, Mike Waltrip, and Dale Earnhardt, the top 10. 369 laps showing. And Wallace is right there. All right, you're Kyle Petty, you're leading the race. How much does that affect the way your car runs and affect the way you pay attention to where you're going when you've got somebody like Wallace just hot on your tail like that?
I say Kyle Petty is spending a lot of time looking at his mirror, especially if he doesn't want Rusty Wallace to pass. Kyle has to watch to make sure Rusty doesn't duck to the outside or to the inside. So if he ducks to the outside in the corner, then if Kyle Petty takes his normal line up to the wall, then he'll squeeze him in the wall. So Kyle is probably watching his mirror right now about 50% of the time.
All right, next question. So what? If Rusty passes you for the lead, in the grand scheme of things, with still 122 laps to go, is that a big deal?
It's not too big a deal, I don't think. Maybe psychologically somewhat, but, if the guys are thinking about, hey, it might rain, then obviously he's not going to want. Obviously, he doesn't have 121 laps or 122 laps left, so he may say, hey, we need to stay in front in case it does rain.
He squeezes by the number 13 car, and Wallace remains right there. They lap past the Mike Skinner car. And here's Steve.
If and when Rusty Wallace gets the lead, he's going to say, rain, Davey, rain. Because that car has got to come back in here with 4 tires and fuel between laps 447 and 450. So, Rusty, and I'll tell you what, I don't feel any mist yet, but I don't know why. It is really miserable up there. Rob Gage?
Well, you can see for the first time that there's some concern on the faces of Kyle Petty's crew. Felix Zavadas, the car owner, watching intently from up top, and the rest of the people is a fight.
As they try to lap by Bobby Hamilton and Richard Petty. Kyle uses Dad as a pick and holds off Rusty Wallace. Bobby Hamilton, the rookie, doing a good job there in the Oldsmobile. As the leaders go by, Mark Martin right behind Rusty Wallace. Now watch out for Martin. Play the spoiler here because he's just made a pit stop in the number 6 car and he's on fresh tires. So is Brett Bodine a little further back.
Rusty Wallace may let Mark Martin, or if Mark Martin gets beside him, he may try to use Mark Martin to get by Kyle Petty.
The old open sesame trick. If Martin's on fresh tires, can open the door underneath Kyle Petty. Rusty could perhaps follow through. Strategy plays out here at lap 374. 118 to go. And one more pit stop for each of these leaders. If we run this race the full distance. Down in turns 1 and 2, 22-degree banking. 25 up at the other end. Wallace just a couple of car lengths back now. And he has Mark Martin right lined up behind him. The interesting. I wish we had a camera in Kyle's car. He's fighting that wheel as much as Rusty is.
Okay, we had an in-car camera shot of Davey Allison earlier, and he wasn't fighting the wheel nearly as hard as Rusty Wallace. He looked like he was out on a Sunday afternoon ride. Well, Rusty's looks like he's swatting bees.
Now, Richard Petty has moved past Mark Martin. So Martin will not be able to come up and open the door for Rusty Wallace. Maybe Richard Petty can come up and open the door. He almost opened up the bumper on Rusty's car there. As Richard drops to the inside, he will take over the point from Wallace in pursuit of Kyle Petty. Now, we talked about the nepotism 500 before. Don't you think that Rusty is going to open the door up on his son so that, or rather Richard, so that Rusty can get through? Maybe Brett Bodine will do it.
I say Rusty has a lot of traffic to work with now. He's got 5 cars in between he and Kyle Petty.
There's Brett Bodine, who's just moved in the green car as they lap past Hutch Strickland.
Just moments ago, he was right on Kyle Petty's bumper, and now he has 5 cars in between.
That's how quickly things can change. You know, one thing that hasn't changed, Kyle Petty's dominated this race much as he did last year before NASCAR's new pit rules came into effect. I think this race, despite the new pit rules, looks a lot like last year's race.
I think it really does. The only difference is you have Rusty Wallace that's able to keep up with Kyle Petty. Last year, you didn't have anybody that could keep up with Kyle Petty.
I'll tell you who's busier today, the pit crew. Rick Mask just came in for his 6th green flag pit stop. As will most all these teams before the day is over. Richard Petty went on past, and that was no help to Rusty Wallace. Kyle Petty is 42. Now is Mark Martin going up and around the outside, and where's the second place car? Here's Kyle coming down the front straightaway, and it's a ways back to Rusty Wallace now. Let's check in with Steve Evans.
You're looking at the last 4 tires that will ultimately go on the Rusty Wallace car. One reason they can make the tire change so quickly, first of all, they clean the lug nut hole thoroughly with solvent. Then you can see one from here pre-assembling the lug nut. Now they'll use epoxy, and they will glue those on. And this epoxy is so strong you couldn't knock it off with a hammer, but once the impact wrench hits it, it'll spin it right onto the stud.
That's a lot of lug nuts in each pit when you consider 10 sets of tires. 4 tires per set, 5 nuts per... That's a lot of lug nuts. 381 laps of 492 as you ride with Rusty Wallace. He is still chasing Kyle Petty in the Goodwrench 500.
Changing tires and all the mad scramble that goes on when the cars come in. But look at these guys. They've been working during the course of the race. Somebody somewhere's got to mount and dismount these things. Now, 40 competitors times 20 tires, that's 800 tires. Well, they got a lot of guys working in here, but that's a lot of work. And we've been here for about 10 minutes. Haven't one of these guys slowed down yet. So, you know, when you go to your Goodyear tire store the next time, see if you can't get them to push the button a little bit, give you the same kind of service you get here at Rockingham Speedway.
There are easier ways to break into racing, like being a pit reporter, for instance. At 398, here's the way it runs down. Kyle Petty, the race leader. 4 cars are on the lead lap. We've had 10 lead changes, and there's that record average speed so far, occasioned by only 3 caution flags. Cars out of the race. Shirley Marlin, the most recent retiree, as that garage area is pretty empty. Devon, Spencer, Smith, Beacon, and Pervin are out of it. Hillenberg is the first car out of the race. But Kyle Petty has been in front for all but about 70 laps of this event, dominating here much as he did 1 year ago. Kyle is in a Pontiac, the brand that has won the last 3 Goodwrench 500s. They're going for 4 in a row. There's Bill Elliott's Ford trying to spoil that string. The last time the Pontiac nameplate won a particular event 4 times in a row, Greg Fielden tells us, was the Firecracker 250, not 400, but 250 at Daytona between 1959 and 62. It's been a while ago, Mike. It's been a while. Here's Steve Evans.
You know, we've got video cameras, great big ones. Half the fans have video cameras, little bitty ones. The NASCAR also has a video camera. Now, you see that clock out there? That is shot in the same frame as the finish line by this industrial camera. It's black and white. That's all it needs to be, a very tough unit. Now, the reason they do this is for scoring purposes. And it's not just if there's a photo finish for the win. But remember, there could be a tight race for the 15th, 18th place. Thousands of dollars are at stake. They can come back and look at these things and make sure the right position gets the money in the point.
Rocky?
Well, Mike, I've gotten some word down here from the Kyle Petty crew that they think that Rusty Wallace's crew is listening to the TNN telecast. I don't know why that is. Maybe they think we know a whole lot more than they can actually find out. But maybe we ought to ask Steve Evans about that.
Well, Brock, as far as I know, no, nobody's got a monitor down here. I don't think they have cable in the pit. They've got running water and electricity, but the cable fan guys hasn't signed up Rockingham quite yet. No, that's not true.
No, and I don't think they have cable in the car either. Watching Kyle Petty. He's the race leader. There is Bill Elliott just ahead of him, the fourth-place car. In jeopardy of going one lap down.
I think it's very possible, Mike, that they can be monitoring our audio, just the audio, with a scanner. So they could be right.
A lot of the race fans have scanners, and so do the team. They monitor each other and the broadcast frequencies as well. Try to get a little extra insight on what's going on out on the racetrack. So it's entirely possible.
I don't know what we're going to be able to tell them. They pitted on the same lap, their last green flag pit stop. So I'm not sure what we're going to be able to tell them.
I don't know. Go fast, turn left.
Rain's coming, rain's not coming, I don't know.
Kyle Petty is doing an awful lot of going fast and turning left today. He's right up, snuggle up behind Bill Elliott. Look at this pass of traffic. Finally past the 71 of Dave Marcus. They're too wide just ahead of Joe Ruttman, and on the outside, Mark Clark.
You know, we saw about 20 laps ago that Rusty Wallace closed up right on Kyle Petty's bumper. It looked like somebody came on the radio and said, Kyle, Rusty's on your bumper. How about surfing out and push the button?
That's Mike Skinner's car parked behind the logo on the back straightaway. The Californian who came to Greensboro, and his first job in racing was sweeping the floor at Petty Enterprises. He's worked his way up and into a Winston Cup stock car ride. But he has spun to bring out this fourth caution of the day.
There's the tail end of the replay. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I wasn't watching, Mike, but he spins around here. I don't think he made any contact with anything, so he may be able to get that thing refired and get back into the spray.
Likely, that car kept going backwards with the car in forward gear, lunched up the engine so it wouldn't refire, and that's why Skinner's car is stopped. It's only the fourth yellow, but what a break for Ken Schrader and Bill Elliott. When we went to commercial, you saw Kyle Petty's car just poking into the picture and about to lap Bill Elliott and Kenny Schrader. They were able to come all the way around and stay on the lead lap. So it'll be Kyle Petty, Rusty Wallace, Schrader, and Elliott on the lead lap. Here's Steve.
Gas cans in hand, and Rusty Wallace is pit up ahead of Rusty. We can see Ernie Irvin is in for fuel as well. Remember, under the rules, you cannot change tires on a caution lap unless, of course, you want a one-lap penalty. They can make minor adjustments on the left-hand side. However, they are looking under Ernie Irvin's car. In the suspension area, I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. They had a jack stand out so they can safely crawl under there, and Irvin is back in it. We're waiting for Rusty Wallace.
Now, NASCAR at the start-finish line is holding Jeff Bodine. They are saying that Bodine did not get his lap back before the yellow came out. Bodine had just, I believe, made a pit stop. Now, that was at 3:47, but Bodine was trying to get a lap back at the start-finish line. NASCAR says no, so they're going to put him back in line.
He did just make a pit stop, Mike. We didn't write it down, but he had just made a pit stop prior to the caution coming out. And I'll tell you what, I was watching Jeff Bodine, and to me, from up here, it looked like he beat Kyle Petty back to the line.
Close call, but the NASCAR officials make that one. I was with you. I thought he beat him back to the line, but they're saying when the caution came out, he was not lined up in front of him. They're saying 42 had received the yellow flag a lap before Bodine had raced it back to the line. So that's the reason why Jeff is put back there. And now we have interesting strategy. 4:13 on the board, 79 laps to go. Brett Bodine, Darrell Waltrip, Bill Elliott, Rick Wilson are all in getting gas only. They can't take tires during the yellow. Does this mean they'll go the distance on that same set of tires?
It sure looks like it, Mike. I can't imagine why they're stopping right now unless they plan on going the rest of the way on the same tires they're on right now.
Well, here's another thought. It takes longer to fuel the car than it does to put on right-side tires. They might come back in under green for just right-side tires and make that a 10 instead of a 12 or 14-second stop.
Yeah, but looking back and seeing when these guys pit, they probably only had to take one can anyway. You know, if they had to pit at lap 440, something like that, they probably only had to take one gas can. So, you know, chances are they have other ulterior motives right now on their mind.
We'll try to get our pit reporters to pull some of the lead teams there and check this strategy out. As in one lap, we'll go racing. Here's Glenn Jarrett.
All right, we're in Jeff Bodine's pit, and I talked to Tim Brewer, the crew chief. They're not at all upset about what happened there. The way that Mike Joy explained it is exactly what happened. They were trying to race him back. They took the caution actually the lap before, so he did not beat them back to the flag. There's no grief or consternation or anything down here. They're completely happy with NASCAR's call.
I think they'd like to be a lap further up on the field, but Jeff's done a good job today. Double check and see where he runs. We're showing him unofficially in the 15th position here. 4 cars on the lead lap, and now they're saying Harry Gant is on a lap by himself in 5th place. 2 laps back now, Ricky Rudd, Mike Waltrip, and Ernie Irvin. 3 laps down, Dale Jarrett, Darrell Waltrip. 4 laps back, Dale Earnhardt, Morgan Shepherd, then Brett Bodine, along with Mark Martin and Jeff Bodine. So the 4 lead cars on the lead lap are lined up in the high lane. 42 is Kyle Petty, 2 is Rusty Wallace. 25 there is Ken Schrader, and you'll see the 9 of Bill Elliott. And we'll take this restart from Rusty Wallace's car, 2nd to 3rd gear, as they whistle down the front straightaway. 4th gear, and Jeff Bodine is going to split the leader as they go into 1. Wallace way up high. Harry Gant went past, and Kenny Schrader got blocked behind Rusty, but now he's got to fight off Bill Elliott for 3rd place. There's the blue car of Elliott down on the bottom of the racetrack, inside of Rusty Wallace.
It looked to me like Rusty had some buildup, some rubber built up on his tires. He went down to the corner. The car would not turn, but he looked a lot better the next corner. So I think he's okay now, but he lost a lot of ground.
Jeff Bodine has now gotten his lap back from Kyle Petty. Earnhardt moving up to deal with Harry Gant, just behind the race leader. And Bill Elliott still side by side with Rusty Wallace. That's for position. Front straightaway. 2nd place, and Elliott's Ford is coming to the front.
He sure used that break he got by that caution light coming out, keeping him in the same lap.
Elliott, Dame Fortune turned her cheek on Elliott when that ratchet got stuck in the car, but now she's smiling on him. He got a definite break with the timing of the caution and came right up now to challenge Rusty for 2nd spot. 2.2 seconds ahead with Kyle Petty. Ricky Rudd right there, but another lap down. Dale Jarrett on pit road for his last stop of the day at lap 418 now. Rusty Wallace back ahead of Elliott, looking out the rear bumper of that Penske Pontiac. And you see the sandblasting that's been done on the front ends of all of these cars as they go by speed. Ricky Rudd just dropped down off the banking, and he'll come to pit lane at lap 419 for his last stop.
A couple different strategies here, Mike. We saw several guys come in on the caution flag, and several guys now taking advantage of the green flag to come in and get tires.
Right side for Ricky Rudd. Here's Brock Yates.
Well, I'm down here with Ricky Rudd's crew as they work frantically to get that race car back underway. And once again, a final stop, all 4 tires going on. Fuel cans being emptied in there, and he'll be back underway in a moment, but he's got a tough struggle to get back into the hunt here. Ricky Rudd gets underway.
Ernie Irvin is in, Davey Allison, Rick Wilson, and Michael Waltrip are all in for their final stop. We'll go back to the race for 2nd place. On the high side, Rusty Wallace in that black and gold Pontiac. And right up his bumper comes Bill Elliott. Here's Steve Evans.
All right, here is Rusty Wallace, his fifth Jimmy Maker, who just jumped down off the wall. He's trying to stay with his battle plan. He is concerned, as you said upstairs, about the car slipping back just a little bit. We'll see if we can work with it. He's a little busy right now trying to coordinate his troops. Let's go down to Glenn.
Well, we're here with Bill Elliott's pits, and they're kind of non-committal right now, guys. I asked Ernie Elliott if Bill was going to have to make another pit stop. Shrugged his shoulders, said, I don't know. And I said, well, you got the break that you wanted. You said you wanted a caution flag a while ago. Can he handle Kyle now? Ernie shrugged his shoulders, said, I don't know. So they're not saying a whole lot. And like, as always, Ernie Elliott's attitude is, well, we're just going to have to wait and see. I got an idea they got a little bit left, and they're going to be able to challenge for this win here.
Kenny Schrader is the white car on your screen, and apparently he doesn't have the best setup on this round of green flag racing. Fading back just a bit.
Got over 3.5-second lead for Kyle Petty now over Rusty Wallace.
Morgan Shepherd on pit road. And that 423 for the Bud Moore crew. Lap stop of the day for that Ford.
You know, it's somewhat amazing to me, Mike. Before the caution flag, we had Rusty Wallace right on Kyle Petty's bumper. Nothing changed. The caution came out for 3 or 4 laps, and when they restarted the race, Rusty went high in one turn. All of a sudden, now he's over 3.5 seconds behind.
One small miscue, and look what it can cost you. Back straightaway from Rusty Wallace's bumper cam. Dale Earnhardt, the car immediately behind him. Then Bill Elliott, the third-place car, and the orange car, that is Derek Cole. 425 laps complete as Darrell Waltrip comes to the pit lane. More of the Goodwrench 500 after this. This is Kyle Petty, the third-generation driving star from Randall, North Carolina, enjoying a 3.4-second lead on Rusty Wallace. Hey, Mike, it's any time now we're going to be seeing both Rusty Wallace and Kyle Petty coming in the pits. They last pitted on lap 347, so we're talking about, almost 80 laps ago, over 80 laps ago, so they'll be coming any time. We've got Ken Schrader right now in the pits. Caution flag's out.
Final stop for Kenny Schrader as he comes into the pits. The crew going to work on it. They've got to be starting to get a little tired. We've got a caution now, so this is going to change the complexion. Although, as you can see, the Kyle Petty crew right next door not paying much attention to it. They're very disciplined. They're planning on obviously one more stop. I would imagine within the next 6 or 8 laps, but they let Kenny Schrader get back underway unconcerned that they are ready. There's no question about that.
Well, Brock, this deserves a bit of explanation. Kenny Schrader was on pit road under the green when that caution flag came out. So he is eligible to complete the tire change as if the entire pit stop was made under the green flag. So it is legit. There will be no penalty for his changing those tires once the caution came out.
You're exactly right, Mike, but he still lost a lap in the time it took him to do the pit stop. So it really didn't make much difference, to be honest with you.
Rick Mast has coasted into the garage area. So, too, has Derek Cole. As we're under this 5th caution of the day, here's Steve.
Jimmy Maycar, it's no time to talk to him right now, but he told me just moments ago that they're going to come in real soon. He wouldn't tell me the exact lap number, but real soon. He also didn't like the fact that the 25 car essentially just got 4 free tires. You talk about luck. When you come in under green and the yellow waves, I mean, that is good fortune and may be hard to beat. They're very worried about that 25 car now.
Thank you, Steve. The caution flag is for Rick Mast's spin in turn number 1, and Mast has gone to the garage. Here's Glenn Jarrett.
All right, we're standing by in Bill Elliott's pits. I'm trying to get an update on what he's doing here. Caution flag when Rick Mast blew going into turn 1 has kind of jumbled things up a little bit. I talked to Dan Elliott, Bill's younger brother, and I asked him how the car was, and he just kind of laughed. He says, we're not really sure. We don't even know how the driver is. So things are still lighthearted down here anyway. Let's go to Brock Yates.
Well, I'm with Richard Froome, who's a little bit baffled about this turn of events. He was hard at work on Kenny's car, and suddenly the yellow came out. So the strategy from here on in is what, Richard?
Well, we can go the rest of the way, and, supposedly I got a freebie, so I hope it works out that way. If it does, it might be looking pretty good.
So you reckon you're in good shape then?
Yeah, I think we're going to be in good shape.
Okay, there's the evaluation from the Kenny Schrader pit. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I think he got a freebie in a way, and that caution came out. He got to finish the work on the car and get the tires changed.
You're exactly right, Mike. But as we talked earlier, he still lost a lap. He was in the pits, and it takes him 20-some-odd seconds to change the tires, plus the time it takes him to slow down and to get back up to speed. So he lost a lap. If he would have stayed out, had he not been in the pits when the caution came out, if he would have stayed out and made his pit stop after the green came back out, he still would have lost a lap. So I think it probably is a little bit of an advantage in the fact that now he can close up right behind the leaders, and he will only be exactly 1 lap down. He probably would have lost a lap from a lap and a quarter to a lap and a half had he done it under the green. You're right, Bill. Only the first three cars are on the lead lap. Kyle Petty, Rusty Wallace, and Bill Elliott. Schrader is 1 lap down. Now Harry Gant in 5th is 2 laps down. And the leader will pit for fuel. And for his crew to have a look at the tires, they cannot change them. Brock Yates is in Kyle Petty's 5th.
There you can see the pit board out for Kyle Petty as the car screeches into a stop. It will only, they're going to clean the windshield down, put in a splash of gas, and that's it. He's underway. Now, I talked earlier to his crew chief, and he said we definitely are going to have to make another stop for tires. So this changes the strategy down here considerably. We thought probably that he'd continue to go on around and make his stop under green, but here comes Fred Woodine by again, so we're getting some pit stops down here, but that's an interesting turn of events. What do you guys think about it up in the booth?
Well, I think this is where Kenny Schrader gets his freebie, because now under this caution, Kyle has gas, but Kenny has gas and tires. So he will get his lap back once Kyle Petty makes his pit stop. We're getting set to go back to green flag racing right now, 433 laps. And up front, you see Rusty Wallace. Kyle Petty is on the lead lap. And there is Rusty Wallace's crew waiting. Now, they have to go around at least a couple of laps before they can make a pit stop. And once we go back to green, the first lap, no one could pit. The second lap, cars that started in odd numbers position can pit. There's Bill Elliott's crew, Ernie Elliott. And the third lap under green, cars that started this race in even-numbered positions can pit. So Rusty Wallace must wait 3 laps before he can come in. Same for Bill Elliott. And there is Kyle Petty way up high and going right to the back. Did he have the same problem Rusty did, and maybe getting the marble?
I would think he did, unless he has a flat tire. We'll see. We'll see once another. But it usually takes one turn for the tires to get cleaned off. I think Kyle Petty had the same problem. He had the rubber built up on the tires, some of the speedy drive. He just wouldn't stick when he went to turn. Okay, first lap by, no one can pit. Next time around, cars that started in even-numbered positions can come to pit road. That includes Kyle Petty. It does not include Rusty Wallace or Bill Elliott. I'm beginning to think that Ken Schrader did get an advantage from this, Mike.
Sure he did. He's back in the lead lap. Talk about close. That's Harry Gant. Right up and under Rusty Wallace. Now, Dale Earnhardt is running Kenny Schrader hard down into the corner, but Schrader's back on the lead lap. Kyle Petty is on pit road. His first opportunity to do so, and he takes it. Brock Yates is in that pit.
Kyle Petty in for the final stop here.
Trouble in turn 2. One car is up in the wall.
Right side tires being done. Fuel tank. Very disciplined stop here so far, brushing away a little of the rubber dust from the grill work. Here they come around. As we said earlier, they were definitely planning on 4 fresh tires, and this is it. We've got a caution. Back to the booth.
No kidding. Joe Ruttman has face to the wall up there in turn number 2. The caution is out, and now Kenny Schrader has the big freebie.
He has a big freebie, and now Kyle Petty has a freebie, Mike. Except he will be a lap down. Kenny Schrader will be in the lead lap with 4 fresh tires. Kyle Petty's going to be in the exact same scenario as Kenny Schrader was prior to the last restart.
And of all the drivers in this race, Kenny Schrader is perhaps in the best position to win it. He has fuel, he has tires, and he's on the lead lap. Make that the 5 car rather than Joe Ruttman, we're told, that was up there in turn number 2.
Joe Ruttman was definitely involved in that crash. Ricky Rudd may have been also. When I looked up, Joe Ruttman was against the outside wall.
Yeah, I had it as Ruttman as well. We'll get confirmation of that from scoring rather than Ricky Rudd's automobile. Nevertheless, we are under caution. 438 laps complete. 54 to go.
What's happened is Harry Gant got one of his laps back in that little exchange, Mike. So he was 2 laps down. Now he's only 1 lap down because he was ahead of Rusty Wallace when the caution came out.
It's going to be hard to explain to the thousands of fans in this stand how Kyle Petty, who's led every lap of this race practically, is now 1 down. But it happened as he made that pit stop, and then the caution came out. They had a caution. They went back to green. Nobody can pit on the first lap, and on the second lap, Kyle Petty could pit, and he did. But while he was in the pits, the spin up in turn number 2 brought the caution out again, and Kyle got caught a lap down. Working on Joe Ruttman's car. And let's have a look at it. As Ruttman pulls away from the Butch Mock and Bob Rahilly pit.
This is the very tail end of it. He has already spun around and just brushed the outside wall with the left side of the car. You can see his crew pulling the fenders out. They cannot take the tires off to pull the fenders out. They have to pull the fenders out with the tires on, or else it would be a penalty.
And it was Ruttman and not Ricky Rudd. That's right. Who brings out the caution. 439. 3 cars now in the lead lap.
But to say, Kyle Petty is still better off, Mike, that he was in the pits when the caution came out, because he's just like Kenny Schrader. He's got 4 fresh tires. Providing he's faster than Kenny Schrader, he can get in front of him, then he gets another caution flag, and then he can catch back up. But I think Kyle Petty will have to have another caution flag before he can win this race. He is going to line up right next to Rusty Wallace. You're riding with Darrell Waltrip, Ricky Rudd just ahead. And Rusty Wallace is the leader of this race. Kyle Petty is right next to him on the front row, just 1 lap down. Bill Elliott, the second-place car. Ken Schrader is third, number 25 in the high lane. Out of turn number 4, slowly, Rusty brings them down. And we're green. With 52 laps to go. Now let's see if either of these cars stick in turn 1. And they do, but Kyle Petty sticks a little bit better. He gets back on the lead lap, and Morgan Shepherd in Bud Moore's 4, number 15, gets a lap back. Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott both have to make another pit stop. Ken Schrader is the car in the driver's seat right now. If we don't get another caution flag, Ken Schrader doesn't have trouble. I think he wins the race. Exactly. He got, as Richard Groom said, a freebie, and then he got a big one when that second caution flag came out. Ernie Irvin, the yellow car, running Bill Elliott hard down into the corner. Richard Petty slips past. Ricky Rudd there. And there is Rusty Wallace, who is the leader, but for how long? Kyle Petty now on the tail end of the lead lap, and still a lot of racing to go. 51 laps remain. Takes a while for this field to sort out in the middle of the pack as you watch Wallace. Bill Elliott is backing way up. Elliott's car is not going very well at all, and Rusty just waved to Ernie Irvin behind him. Trying to get Irvin to hook up. Schrader is coming like a house of fire, and Wallace is in. Wallace is in. Kenny Schrader leads this race. Schrader looking for his third win. Wallace on pit road. Here's Steve Evans.
Rusty Wallace is in for the final and most important pit stop of this entire Goodwrench 500, and the crew knows that. They know they can go a lap down here. They've got to get fuel and tires on this car as quickly as possible. They are going a 4-tire change with some talk about 2. They figured that wouldn't give them the kind of traction they'll need to get back into the hunt here. I think you're absolutely right upstairs, guys. Kenny Schrader is now a pretty good bet.
Richard Petty slows in the back straightaway to make his pit stop. Bobby Hillen is in. And Kenny Schrader is the new race leader. Here's Brock Yates.
Richard, suddenly you're in a real good spot right now.
Well, yeah, I tell you, that was just, you know, every now and then, a blind pig will find an acorn.
I'll tell you what, he's looking real good.
I don't know how we got in this position, but it just fell our way.
There's a pit strategy to end all pit strategies, you guys. Richard just said he doesn't know how it happened, but he's happy.
Well, the way it happened, was the timing of the caution flag, and this what you can and can't do under the green flag or the yellow flag pit stop. Bill Elliott is on pit road. Glenn Jarrett.
And Bill Elliott comes in for what will be his final pit stop of the day. You're going to see a 4-tire change, and Ernie Elliott had the wedge spot. He's waiting until one of the crew members crosses the wall. There you see Ernie running around. He stumbles over the guy changing tires. He is going to make the chassis adjustment on this car. That was only about a half a round, so evidently it wasn't very far off. He's down and away.
So Elliott is back out. That will move Harry Gant up the leaderboard and Kyle Petty. But Ken Schrader, this man, is looking for his third Winston Cup win. For Rick Hendrick, facing the other Hendrick car now, driven by Ricky Rudd. And that'll Kyle Petty now shown as being back in the lead lap. It's a perfect illustration of what happened when Bill Elliott and Rusty Wallace made their green flag pit stop. They lost a lap and a half. Ken Schrader, when he got caught in the pits, he only lost technically what was it, 1 full lap. He was able to get something later, another caution came out, he got back in the lead lap. The same thing has happened to Cloud, but he has to have another caution flag. I don't think he is running fast enough in the 50-some-odd laps we have left to go all the way around the racetrack and catch up with Ken Schrader. And Schrader did the absolute right thing, but Richard Broom, his team manager, is right. how do you plan to make your pit stop just as the caution comes out so you get that freebie? We'll find out. 449 laps complete at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. We'll be back with more. 39 laps to go in this cliffhanger at Rockingham. Richard Petty has long said, I'd rather be lucky than good. Ken Schrader has been both today. He leads this race. Kyle Petty is on the lead lap in second. Harry Gann is third. Rusty Wallace is fourth. Both a lap down, so is Bill Elliott. Then Ricky Rudd, Mike Walton, Ernie Irvin, Earnhardt, and Darrell Walton. Rest of the top 10. Schrader puts a lap on his Hendrick Motorsports teammate, Ricky Rudd.
I'll tell you, Mike, I don't want to jinx Kenny Schrader. If he is going to win this race, I mean, as good as Kyle Petty ran, as good as Rusty Wallace ran, if he stayed in the lead lap with him through a 250, 300 lap green flag run, then he deserves to win this race too. Let's go to Brock Yates down in the pits.
Well, suddenly we've got some dark clouds starting overhead, and Donnie Robinson, a kind of a dark look on your face too. Really a set of circumstances that you didn't deserve. You ran flawlessly all day, perfect pit stop. Kyle drove an excellent race, and suddenly your odds are down to lose this deal.
Things happen quick, don't they?
Yeah.
The whole picture was painted for us and the 2-car to dice it out. Now we're 20 seconds behind the leader, and poor Rusty's a lap down. We all just need a caution. That would, again, I think we can handle it if we can just get a little bit of luck.
Can you run him down without a caution?
I don't think so. I really don't.
Well, there you have it. Almost a resignation here. They're hoping for yet another yellow flag. The yellow flag that may lose them that particular component of this race. They need another one to get them back into the event.
Brock, how much do you think Felix Sabanas would give away another one of those luxury boats to get a caution flag?
Or another Rolls Royce. There is Kyle Petty lapping underneath the Jimmy Means car. He's in second place. He's on the lead lap. But as you heard from pit row, it's going to be a tall order for anybody to run down Kenny Schrader without a caution flag. Harry Gann a lap down in third. Rusty Wallace in fourth. Bill Elliott in fifth. They've all driven strong races, and it seemed the timing of the caution flag pretty much cast their fate.
I don't think you'll see Richard Broom, Ken Schrader, or Rick Hendrick complain about the new pit procedures for any time soon. Do you, Mike?
No, I don't think so. Those guys behind them. 459 complete. 33 laps to go. For Ken Schrader, that's well within distance of his fuel load and tires. And he has 17.9 seconds separating himself from Kyle Petty. That's all but eternity. Unless the caution flag comes up. There's Rusty Wallace. Wallace, too, getting caught, as did Bill Elliott up there on the high side. With this last round of caution flag. And Wallace is off the pace. Rusty Wallace is slow into turn number 1. Marcus and Earnhardt go past him. You're looking out the back bumper of his car. Dick Trickle
definitely lost a cylinder, Mike, because he kept his speed up through the turn. Looks like he definitely lost a cylinder.
No acceleration. And when things go wrong, they all go wrong. Rusty Wallace poised to perhaps pick up a victory here, and standing stoically on pit road is Jimmy Maycar. Nothing they can do about that one except ride it out. A tough break. As this sport will deal you time and again. Steve Evans is down there in the Rusty Wallace pit.
We were in the pit, and Jimmy Maycar thought he had a bad break. When Kenny Schrader caught that yellow, you said, Jimmy, has he lost a cylinder or what?
Something happened to the motor. He said he picked up a little bit of a miss. Just going to try and make it to the end of the race now. Looks like that new pit roll finally got somebody. It got us.
I tell you and your whole crew put forth a great effort today. It was beautiful to watch. A great effort today.
Well, we'll be back.
Oh, you bet on that.
Well, and they're not done yet. Wallace is still going to take a fine finish home from this, and a lot of valuable Winston Cup points. But he's just not able to accelerate up off the corner and can just ride it out. So now, Ken Schrader leads Kyle Petty by 17.8 seconds. As Schrader seeks to win his first race since the 1989 Charlotte 500.
It doesn't do Kyle Petty any good right now, Mike, to run hard to try to catch Ken Schrader, because he's not going to do it. What he needs to do is just run a comfortable pace, try to stay in a lead lap. If he gets a caution flag, then he has a chance to win. He's got some tires left to do it with, because he's not going to catch Ken Schrader unless the caution comes out. As Ken Schrader rounds out of turn number 4 and comes back here to the start-finish line to complete lap 486, Kyle Petty comes out of turn 2, almost half a lap behind. There is Kyle. Harry Gant still third. He's a lap down, and Kyle is closing 17.5 seconds, but that's not going to be enough to do it in the 27 laps that remain. Bill Elliott is fourth, and will keep tabs on Gant and Elliott. No immediate chance of a position change there. Ken Schrader just went by Rusty Wallace to put him another lap down, so Rusty Wallace is now 2 laps down. Certainly out of contention, unfortunately. Tough day for Rusty, but for this man, Ken Schrader, and for Harry Gant, who's made one more pit stop than anybody else today. The sequence that Leo Jackson and team dictated was they'd stop every 70 laps. You know, that was Ricky Rudd and Ken Schrader right in front of Harry Gant. You know, we talk about Kyle Petty needing the caution flag. If Harry could get around Ken Schrader and Ricky Rudd, and he gets the caution flag, then he's back in a lead lap and has a chance to win this race. Kyle Petty gets under Bill Elliott. Squeeze play there up at turn 4, but Elliott, of course, already a lap down. And Harry Gant 1 lap down and closing right up on the leader. There's Schrader and Harry Gant. Been to victory lane here in Busch Grand National competition with on and Winston Cup. Smoker out of turn 2, guess who? Rusty Wallace, and he's going to take it down to the apron and coast it around. He won't be running at the finish of this one, it looks like. Look at the gauges. Can't see anything untoward there. So Rusty is down on the apron and going to idle it around for as many of the remaining laps as he can. 23 to go. He probably broke a valve string, something like that, a rocker arm, and then finally the valve dropped and went through the piston. That's why you're seeing the smoke. So I'd say it's certainly terminal for Rusty. A lot of smoke out the left side of that engine. Wallace just trying to come around for points. Looks like he may come to pit road this time around, and he does. So that'll be it for the day. Really a tough race. Rusty's put on a heck of a show here. A brand new team. This is only their 3rd race, and he makes a hard left into the garage area. So Wallace falls off the leaderboard. The engine shut off. You see the oil pressure gauge at 0 there, that middle gauge, the 3rd from left on the dash. And that'll move Ricky Rudd up onto the board. 2 laps down, Rudd becomes the 5th place car, running right behind race leader Ken Schrader. And here's Harry Gant. Harry has got by Ricky Rudd. So if he can just get by Ken Schrader and catch another caution flag, you never know. You know, that could have been a caution flag there for Rusty Wallace. Fortunately, Rusty's smart enough. He got down out of the groove when the thing did get into some oil and started smoking. So he didn't have to have NASCAR throw another caution flag, but it could happen. Just like yesterday on TNN, Mike, anything can happen. Steve Evans?
Well, guys, Rick Hendrick seems to have the longest laps of any race. When you're in front, you got a shot at it in not 28 seconds or a minute and a half apiece. You know, they go by so slow, it just seems like the first 300, you know, we just, 20 more laps, we just hope we can stay there. Well, that yellow flag was a beautiful sight for this team. Yeah, we didn't know whether it caught us in a bad spot or was going to work out good, but it really is the only way we could do it. Okay, hang in there. Thank you. All right, let's go down to Glen Jarrett.
Standing by with a dejected Rusty Wallace. Rusty, you were very fast all day. One of the few guys that could actually pass Kyle Petty on the racetrack. In contention all day long. This has got to be awfully disappointing.
It's real disappointing because this is some of the same problem that I had happen last year, and I thought it was cured. Obviously going to have to change something. I don't know what to do. The car handled great, super pit stops. We're just having a problem under the hood again, and we're not going to win championships by doing that. So we're going to go back, go to work. We'll be back at it. Luckily, it's happened early in the year, so I can catch back up. But the Miller Daniel draft, Mobil Oil, AC, Penske Pontiac ran great today. I guess that's what I'm supposed to say, but it's disheartening. It really is, but it's not over yet.
You can hear the dejection in Rusty Wallace's voice. Let's go back to Mike Joy.
Well, there's elation in the Harry Gant pit. His man is Harry's just put that car back on the lead lap. Getting underneath Kenny Schrader in fine fashion. Leo Jackson, Andy Petrie's boys have wrecked on that thing all day. And they got Harry as what is now one of the quickest cars on the racetrack.
I think Ken Schrader, it doesn't matter to him that Harry Gant passed him, because Ken Schrader realizes that he's got this race won unless he gets a caution flag. More than likely, if the caution flag comes out, Kyle Petty is probably going to beat him because he's been stronger than him all day. So Kenny Schrader just riding right now. Let's go down to Steve Evans.
I'm with Kenny Schrader's wife, Ann. And Ann, I noticed you walking around here with your hands clasped and your lips moving. Was that a prayer?
Well, I just want to have a good finish today, and I hope we can win the race. These guys have worked awful hard all year, and I think we deserve a win today. I hope we get it.
You know, I've always wondered how you deal with this man you're married to who spends 200 days a year in a race car. Not just Winston Cup cars, he'll drive any night, anything.
I didn't hear what...
How do you handle the kind of racing Kenny does? 200 days a year he sits in some kind of race car.
Oh, we just follow him to the racetrack. My little girl and I just go wherever he goes.
All right, well, we'll love to see you in the winner's circle the way it's going. Good luck.
Okay, thanks.
There's a rumor Kenny has a Butler-built seat to pull up to the dining room table, too. Harry Gant has spun at turn 2. Caution is out. And Gant, who hoped to be the beneficiary of the caution flag, is instead the victim. But guess who is the beneficiary, Mike? Kyle Petty. His race isn't over yet. Let's have a look here. Out of turn number 2, our camera at the back straightaway. On this one, Gant's already gone, and there's another car in there with him. Looks like Dick Trickle. Undoubtedly, that he got together somehow with Dick Trickle, and in a round he went. What a tough break for Harry. He wanted a caution flag, Mike, but he didn't want to be the cause of it. 7th caution of the day. They come in quick succession in these closing laps. Now here's a better angle. Oh, and Trickle just comes up and just catches Harry Gant. Just a tough break. I mean, you know, Harry's digging hard, trying to stay in front of Ken Schrader, hoping for a caution flag, and boom, there Dick Trickle is. You know, they ran out of racetrack. David Pearson was once on the radio to the Wood brothers. He drove their famed red, white, and gold Purelator car. Wood brothers crewman, I think it was Len Wood, comes on the radio and goes, David, he says, there's a caution in turn 4. David's sliding down through the grass at 180 miles an hour, and he keys the mic and he goes, I know, it's me. Today it's Harry Gant. Bill Elliott with the rear deck up. Here's Brock Yates.
Okay, it's showdown time here with Kyle Petty's crew. Donnie, suddenly you said I got to have a caution. You got one. Now what happens?
Well, we ran good all day, but it seems like a little luck's gone our way, too. I mean, it's just a shootout now. I mean, a little prayer from up top, maybe. I mean, whatever it takes here, we can use all we can get. I hope we just didn't use the tires up too much trying to run him down under the green.
We're going to find out as soon as we go green, right?
Oh, yeah. It'll be a good one.
Unbelievable shootout building here. Steve?
Well, there's not much I can say to Harry Gant's crew chief, Andy Petrie, that's going to make you feel much better, except, boy, I tell you, had a heck of a ride today. What is Harry saying, or is he saying anything?
No, he's not saying much. One to go, Harry. You know, this seems like every time we need a caution, it turns out to be us. You know, we're looking for a caution there right on the lead lap with Schrader, and then the caution comes out, but it was us. So, you know, we're just trying to get back on the lead lap again.
Okay, well, Harry Gant, you know isn't going to give up. Brock Yates?
Well, Richard, every time I talk to you, something changes. It never stays the same. A little while ago, you were looking good. Now it's tightened up a whole lot.
Well, it sure has. In other words, that 42 car is going to be tough. I can promise you that. So, I don't know. We just have to wait and see what happens.
Was Kenny running down his tires pretty hard, or was he running pretty easily before this caution came out?
No, we had him trying to save his tires, so we, you know, that was our plan, just try to ride it out and take care of the tires, and we was going to be looking good, but the caution got us again.
Okay, there you have it, Mike. As you heard, the Kyle Petty crew concerned that Kyle used up some tires. On the other hand, Richard Broom said that they had Kenny saving his tires, so it's going to be interesting.
A follow-up on the Bill Elliott stop. They raised the deck lid to add oil to the dry sump tank on Elliott's car. A little more oil for the engine. We're getting set to go back to green, and they'll have 11 laps to run. Schrader and Kyle Petty are on the lead lap. You'll see Harry Gant, Bill Elliott, and Ricky Rudd battling one lap down for third place. Out of turn number 4. What may be the final green flag of the day to decide it all in an 11-lap shootout. Schrader on the brake. Kyle Petty right with him, and Gant scoots ahead to get back on the lead lap once more. Ricky Rudd, a bit of a bottleneck there as they come off turn number 2.
Looked like Ricky Rudd had the same problem that Rusty Powell had earlier.
looked like he had a little build-up on the tires and cost him a little bit of time. New leader, Kyle Petty, back to the front. 10 laps to go as they come back. And Kenny Schrader is second. Okay, that's one thing about we've run 400, about 90 miles, Mike. And we thought the race was over and we got a new leader. Anything can happen in this kind of racing. There's the difference, first to second. And Kyle Petty, as he did at the top of the green flag, 482 laps ago, stretches it out. Harry Gant's in the position. He's ahead of Kyle Petty. He's back on a lead lap. He needs a caution flag, but again, he doesn't need it to be him. Not another one. Schrader is second, and now Harry Gant third. Those cars are on the lead lap. Ricky Rudd is fourth, and Bill Elliott fifth, 1 lap down. 2 laps back are Mike Waltrip and Ernie Irvin, the 2 yellow cars fighting for position. And then Dale Earnhardt on the lap by himself in 8th position. Now Gant is still on those flat-spotted tires from that spin that brought out the caution flag. He's out there in front of Kyle Petty. They're not very flat-spotted, Mike, or he wouldn't be able to stay in front of Kyle Petty as good as he's running. 8 laps to go. Kyle reels in Harry Gant. I think Kyle will probably be able to go ahead and pass Harry. All Harry wants to do now, it looks like it's too late for him. You know, he'd have to have a caution the next couple laps. Here's a race for 6th place. Mike Waltrip and Ernie Irvin are each 2 laps down. They trade a little yellow paint before this one's over as they battle for 6th. Irvin 5th in the Winston Cup point standing. Coming into this race off the strength of that Daytona win. They are bumper to bumper as Irvin had a little more oomph out of turn 2 than Mike Waltrip. Irvin in the 4 car, Mike Waltrip in 30. That's the best race out there, this one for 6th place. 6 laps to go. Kyle Petty on the point stands to pick up a $68,000 bonus if he wins this race from the pole. He's had every chance in the world to win it and to lose it today. There's his crew. And car owner looking on. He's under Harry Gant and past him. There's nothing but clear track in front of Kyle Petty with 5 laps to go. He had to be very careful passing Harry Gant because he sure didn't want to kind of slip and get into Harry Gant and cost him the race right now. But as you mentioned, there's nothing in front of him but clear racetrack. So Gant now owns 3rd position. He'll have to keep an eye in his mirror for Ricky Rudd, who is 4th. Bill Elliott is 5th. This is the 6th place race. Mike Waltrip and Ernie Irvin. Back behind them at 6th and 7th. Dale Earnhardt alone on a lap by himself in 8th. Darrell Waltrip 9th. Dale Jarrett 10th. And Jeff Bodine, Morgan Shepherd, and Brett Bodine. This race is for 6th. And Irvin tries the high side. Scoots it right up there. That's not the short way around. 3 to go for Kyle Petty. And there are the boys that want us to run that pump. Kyle Petty's crew. Side by side for 6th place. Ernie Irvin, Michael Waltrip. There's Rick Hendrick, Kenny Schrader's car owner. Waiting and hoping. And Ernie Irvin has made the pass. He moves up to 6th past Michael Waltrip. Pulling right up on Ricky Rudd, the 5th place car. So Rudd is 1 lap down, and they are 2. 2 laps, less than 2 laps to go. Now about a lap and a half to go for Kyle Petty. It's not going to be almost a $300,000 payday if he can get to the checkered flag, but it'll be well over 100. Same owner, Felix Savati, same team manager, Gary Nelson, and same engine builder, John Wilson, as 1 year ago. New sponsor, new colors, and white flag for Kyle Petty. Johnny Richardson was telling me earlier, Mike, that they won something like $700,000 for the year last year. That one car won over $400,000 of it. And in the back straightaway, well ahead of Kenny Schrader by about a second and a half. Here comes Kyle Petty out of turn number 4 to face Doyle Ford's checkered flag and win the Goodwrench 500 by 1.1 second over Kenny Schrader, and Schrader will have to settle for, instead of the winner's trophy, the Goodies Headache Award. We'll be back to the North Carolina Motor Speedway after these messages. At At 124.083 miles per hour, Kyle Petty has just run the fastest Goodwrench 500 in Rockingham history. Shaking his head like he can't believe it. He dominated all day and then had to come from behind to put a checkered flag on this one and bank a skins game bonus of $68,400 in addition to the race purse and a Donzi boat. All right. He comes out of the car to the cheers of his crew and Steve Evans at victory lane.
Kyle Petty is out of the car, being doused with his sponsor's product. He wasn't quite as dominant as a year ago, and it won't pay quite as much. But as you can see, it's no less a thrill. We're trying to get into it. Kyle Petty, Kyle, fantastic job.
We were lucky today. What do you say, man? We were just fortunate. We run good. We led a lot of the race. But, you know, the cautions kind of messed us up towards the end.
Well, when you saw Schrader get that caution, you had to go, oh, no.
When Schrader got the caution, we knew we were beat. You know, it was just one of those deals. All we could do was just run as hard as we could and try to catch back up. We were fortunate. We got a caution at the end of the race and put us back in the hunt, and we were able to beat him.
Gary Nelson, your crew chief, gave you an almost perfect race car, and John Wilson, a strong motor.
Hey, you can't say enough about Gary Nelson or John Wilson or Felix Sabatis or anybody on this team. That's just the way it is. We got a good combination. Paul Giltman, who works for Ford, who's an engineer for us. Can't say enough about those guys. I mean, everything worked perfect for us.
And, you know, I don't know if you've thought about this right now, but you're off the hook on the Donzi boat. Felix is going to have to take care of that.
Thank God. That's all I got to say. I ain't got to buy no boats, no motorcycles, no nothing.
Okay, and behind him are lined up the newest Mariners on the lakes of North Carolina, the crew for Kyle Petty. I'll tell you, this is really fun. The man is soaking wet with all kinds of stuff. And look at this. We're having a little family reunion here as well. I'll tell you, Kyle Petty is obviously has a love affair for the racetrack here in Rockingham. Glenn Jarrett, you got it.
Okay, we're standing by with Ken Schrader, guy with kind of mixed emotions today. Ken, Lady Luck smiled at you there for a while, then she slapped you back down.
Hey, we were the third fastest car all day, and Rusty had some engine trouble. My guys did excellent in pit stops, kept us up there. You know, we got in that position where we had Kyle 18 seconds down or so because of a inner in the yellow, and that's how he got back around us. He was the fastest car. He deserved to win the race. You know, if we could have got it, we'd have taken it, but the right guy standing down there.
Well, tell us what went through your mind when you had that 18-second lead. You came off the fourth turn and saw that caution flag flying.
Yeah, I was behind Harry, and I was right behind Harry and Trickle, and I thought, oh, man, don't run into each other, guys. If you do, keep spinning. And Harry just congratulated me. He said, I thought that meant you won. I said, no, buddy, that meant I lost, you know.
Okay, that got us happy, but yet a little bit dejected also. Ken Schrader, fine job. Brock Yates?
Well, I'll tell you what, Harry. You spent most of the day keeping people on their feet one way or the other. You're moving up and down through the field, up against the fence a couple of times. Guys kept getting in your way, but you just kept struggling, and it worked out pretty well, all things considered.
Yeah, it did. We started off a little bit off, but then the track come to us, and the car got to working good, and the crew done a super job the way we had our pit strategy going, and you know, I wish we could have finished up. Third wasn't too bad after all the bad luck we had today, though. But we finally got everything working for us there towards the end. Kyle ran super. I thought the 25 won the race. They said the 42 was a lap down. I was congratulating the Kenny behind me in the mirror, and I made an extra lap. I thought the 25 had won the race.
Well, here's another good piece of news. Your crew won the Miller Pit Crew of the Race Award for today. Their great effort, keeping you in the event all the way.
Yeah, they sure did. I can't believe we didn't have a flat tire sometime during the day with all that beating and banging. And restarts are a little bit off right now, and getting a relining up. It's hard to get to your spot there. That's the hardest part. Get the fenders smashed in again, the tires.
Well, we're talking, we said you were one of the guys who was hoping for a caution the last few laps, but you didn't want to bring it out yourself.
We'd bring it out every time we needed one. We'd bring it out. So that didn't help us. It helped everybody else some.
Congratulations. Thank you, Brian. Okay, let's go to Glenn.
Standing by with Bill Elliott, the fifth-place finisher. Bill, kind of an uphill struggle all day. Things just never seem to work right from the beginning.
Well, you know, we really weren't that bad off at the start with, but the Coors Light Ford Thunderbird ran better as the race went on. And it seemed like a track more came to me and went away from a lot of the other guys. We had a little bit of confusion on a pit stop that got me a lap down. I was able to pass Kyle and keep ahead of him until the caution came out. And right there at the end, because of the way the cautions fell, and who came in and got tires and who got back in the lead lap determined who finished what. Now, the biggest thing that hurt us was we got our tires on there ready for a caution, you know, and I should have been able to get back to the front, but the oil pressure started fluctuating real bad. And I said, man, I'd better back off, because as much as the oil temperature went up, it went up like 50 or 60 degrees, and I didn't figure it was going to make the race, so I just kind of rode around there at the end. But you know, as far as the Melling race team's concerned, we had a good day. At least we finished. We're in the top 5, and I'm tickled to death.
Well, you got to feel good about it. You had kind of a rough start at Daytona and also at Richmond, and so this got to make you feel better about things to come.
Well, we ran good at Daytona and we ran good at Richmond, and just circumstances has really put us behind. But, you know, maybe we can go to Atlanta in front of the hometown crowd and get that Coors Ford back up front.
Well, that's certainly one of your favorite places, I know.
I'm looking forward to it.
Mike Joy?
A joyous victory lane. Somebody slips on a little bit of that soft drink on the hood as Kyle Petty continues his celebration. He led 379 laps of the 492 here today. Ken Schrader finishes second. Harry Gant in third, moves up to third in the Winston Cup points. Ricky Rudd closes in on Earnhardt's point lead with his fourth place finish today, and Bill Elliott is fifth. Winding up sixth, Ernie Irvin moves to fifth in the points. Mike Waltrip seventh. Dale Earnhardt the point leader. Darrell Waltrip and Morgan Shepherd the top 10. A little further back, Dale Jarrett, Jeff and Brett Bodine, Richard Petty and Davey Allison through 15th. And completing the top 20, Mark Martin, Alan Kulwicki, Bobby Hillen, Rick Wilson, and Mickey Gibbs. So Earnhardt is the point leader. Ricky Rudd gets a little closer, just 14 points back now. Harry Gant, now check that, 4 points behind. Ricky Rudd closed way up. Gant, Kulwicki, and Irvin. Today at the track that they call The Rock. We hope you've enjoyed TNN Motorsports' inaugural presentation of live Winston Cup racing, and hope you'll stay with us throughout the season as the Nashville Network becomes NASCAR's country home. TNN Motorsports' presentation of the Goodwrench 500 is brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft, cold filtered for real draft taste. So get out of the old, get into the cold. And by Haviland Motor Oil. Get the most out of your car. For Brock Yates, Steve Evans, and Glenn Jarrett on pit road, and Phil Parsons, this is Mike Joy congratulating Kyle Petty on his Goodwrench 500 victory on TNN, the Nashville Network.